Blank check with Griffin and David. Blank check with Griffin and David. Don't know what to say or to expect. All you need to know is that the name of the show is Blank Check.
AWA Podcast You!
Oh my God.
AWA Podcast You!
0 listeners.
AWA Podcast You!
Yeah.
Da-na-na!
I forgot we were going to talk about it.
Da-na-na! David, we have to go back.
Dude, you just went.
We have to go back to Avatarland.
You're right.
Da-na! Hello, everybody. My name's Griffin Newman.
I'm David Sims.
This is a podcast usually about filmographies. Directors who have massive success early on are given a series of blank checks to make whatever crazy pass from projects they want. Sometimes those checks clear, and sometimes AWA bounces them, baby.
AWA has bounced you.
Yes. AWA bounces you! Today we're doing something kind of different. By something kind of different, we mean we're doing
our stupidest episode ever, you mean?
And we're combining like 4 different things into one episode.
This is just
like a grab bag episode.
This is the garbage plate.
This is our buffet episode.
Yeah, garbage plate.
This is our Golden Corral episode.
Sure.
Okay, this is going to be a fun episode. Fans are going to love it. We're going to win another Obie. This episode, Podmass, here we come.
Yep, Podmass, here we come.
Long promised, long hinted at, long demanded. I took a trip to Avatarland, a.k.a. the world of Pandora. Or Pandora, the world of Avatar. That's what it's called.
It's not called Avatarland?
It's not, but I'm sort of on like a friend basis with it, so I call it Avatarland.
Right.
But it's called Pandora, the world of Avatar at Animal Kingdom, Walt Disney World Resort, Orlando, Florida.
Wait, what? At Animal Kingdom?
It's part of the Animal Kingdom.
What's the Animal Kingdom?
Okay.
I don't know anything about Disney parks.
Have you ever been?
No.
Have you ever been?
I was too young. I don't remember it.
Okay. Well, I'll give you a quick rundown. Walt Disney World Resort in Orlando, Florida is comprised of 4 different theme parks.
You got Epcot. I know that.
Right. And that's sort of the techie one, the Unite the Continents one. Hashtag Unite the Continents.
Unite the 7.
No, but that's sort of the worldly travels combined with the let's take a glimpse into our future.
Sure.
It was always the park that had the least IP-related attractions.
Right.
But now that's changing. So they had like a Nordic ride that they've now transformed into a Frozen ride.
Of course.
They're apparently going to be putting a lot more Marvel stuff in there. I think it's sort of going to become their more adult theme park combined with their animated films that are set in foreign countries. We'll probably have a Coco ride within the next 2 years. I would bet on it.
Okay.
Because the 3 Caballeros. Okay, 5th time's the charm.
Mm-hmm.
That ride is not doing incredibly well these days.
It's a little out of date.
Yeah, and Coco rules. Have you seen Coco?
I might see it right after this podcast if we get done in time.
I fucking love it. I got the hottest of takes on it. I recorded an episode of Masterpiece Theater last night.
Mm-hmm.
Josh Spiegel, Scott Renshaw.
Yep.
Don't want to brag. I've now joined the 5 Timers Club.
Humble brag.
5 Timers Club, Masterpiece Theater, but I got all my hot takes of Coco out in that episode. Great movie. Great American film.
I'm a little hungover, guys.
That's Epcot, okay? Magic Kingdom, that's the classic one, okay?
So that's like where the castle is.
That's got the castle. It's got Adventureland. It's got Frontierland. It's got Tomorrowland. It's got Fantasyland.
Right. It's like the Walt Disney, his like original idea of like Disneyland. It's just the Florida version.
And the Epcot was the only other one he had an active hand in.
Mm-hmm.
I think it opened after he died, but he was
Where's
very
the Hall of
instrumental.
Presidents in all this?
That is in the Magic Kingdom. Most of the iconic rides are at the Magic Kingdom.
Uh-huh.
So that includes, obviously, Space Mountain, Splash Mountain, all the sort of story dark rides where you go through the plot of a
like
animated
Pirates
Disney
of the Caribbean
classic.
or whatever.
Pirates. You got your fucking Country
Haunted,
Bears Jamboree, Haunted Mansion, maybe the greatest ride of all time.
Is it?
So I thought.
Oh, Jesus.
But maybe a new ride has taken that spot.
So you've mentioned Epcot and the Magic Kingdom. What else we got?
There was what was originally called MGM Hollywood Studios, but then the license ended, so now it's just called Disney Hollywood Studios.
Interesting.
That had the great movie ride.
Uh-huh.
That was sort of Star Tours is there.
And this is all owned by Disney?
Correct.
But like they would have other shit that was non-Disney within their worlds?
The idea was that park is less about Disney films and more about the magic of movies.
Sure.
And they have like a replica of Man's Chinese theater. The Great Movie Ride used to take you through the history of the movies, now being replaced by a Mickey Mouse thing. That's where they're going to build Star Wars Land. So the MGM park is mostly going to become a Star Wars park.
Fine.
But then you also got Muppet Vision 3D, one of the greatest films ever made. You have Toy Story Midway Mania, which they're now expanding into Toy Story Land. That is actually the official name. The other ones I'm adding Land onto, but Toy Story Land is going to be like 4 or 5 rides now, which I'm jazzed about.
I just don't understand any of this.
I don't either. I'm listening to all of this and I'm like, why would anyone?
I'm describing it all very well. I'm describing it all very well. I'm describing it all so well, and I had a great time.
Like, I remember when I was a kid, I liked theme parks because they were like these fun places. When you were a kid,
like growing up in solely in the United States of America.
No, actually, I grew up in England, which has a lot of theme parks. You know, England's really into theme parks.
I know that.
Banksy's.
I don't even know what that means.
Dismal Land.
Yeah, right.
Remember when Banksy?
Yeah, all right.
What is Banksy a theme park?
Let's get Demi back on so he can talk about his Remove Banksy. No, they have like Thorpe Park and like Alton Towers and Legoland and Chessington World of Adventures. They're just like non-branded theme parks, and because they're all kind of popular, they all like are always trying to outdo themselves. So they always have these insane new rides.
But a lot of those non-branded theme parks also have like 1 or 2 movie rides. Like
for sure, but it's like
I always find that really interesting when you I'll go on to Wikipedia pages and it'd be like, oh, this like theme park in Bombay that doesn't have specific branding also has a Ghostbusters ride.
Hey, man.
You know, like shit like that.
It's kind of nice. It's sort of the old days before everything was, siloed and umbrellaed and conglomerated. Anyway, so we've said 3 of the 4. We're not even fucking done. Is the 4th Universal Studios?
No, Universal's
its own thing.
Get the fuck
out of here. It's also in Orlando, right?
Correct. Okay. Universal has 2 theme parks. Jesus, one is Universal Studios proper, and the other one is Islands of Adventure, which is technically comprised of 5 smaller theme parks.
By the way, I want to point something out. Can I point something out here?
Point anything
wait, because we forgot about this. This episode's brought to you by Mack Weldon.
Oh, this episode is brought to you by Mack Weldon.
Anyway, back to these 4.
That's very important.
We'll talk about that more later, but I just wanted to get that on the record.
Look, the Bummer Boys got to make our cheddar.
Okay. What was the 4th one?
The 4th one is Animal Kingdom.
Uh-huh.
And that was the one.
That's like the Bronx Zoo.
Recent one. It's like trying to make the most immersive sort of animal wildlife retreat.
Okay.
And they pride themselves on it's sort of the most humane of all wildlife retreats in the United States, if not the world.
Okay.
They bought a massive amount of space and they replicated
so it's like you go on a safari, but it's not quite as problematic.
Right. So that's like the cornerstone of the park is like the long safari.
Uh-huh.
But that's always been the lagging park.
Okay.
There's this great safari where you get to see animals, but then they don't have that many other exciting rides.
Uh-huh.
You know?
Yeah.
They have a ride based on Dinosaur.
Sure. The Disney animated classic.
The DB Sweeney vehicle. Dinosaur.
Sure.
But they don't have a lot. So it was this big strategic move to go, let's get Avatar. Here's a brand that's all about nature, is about the ecosystem, the wildlife.
I see. So is Avatar part of the animal kingdom?
Correct.
Oh. Okay.
And right now it's a small section. I would not be surprised if it grows even more, especially if the sequels are well received and becomes maybe like 50% of the park.
So here's just a little backstory for everyone this is their first episode listening, which I'm sure is most of the audience.
Yeah.
Right.
The good entry point.
No. What was I going to say? So we reviewed James Cameron's films a while ago.
And we made a promise when we covered a miniseries of a director, if they had a new film come out, we would go back and do a new episode, as we'll do very shortly with The Post.
Mm-hmm.
Stevie Spielberg's The Post. We got an episode we're going to do on that.
Yep, that'll drop in a few weeks. Yeah.
And this is kind of weird because it's a theme park.
Right. It's one of the things where you might say, actually, we don't need to cover it.
Well, agree to disagree there. We also covered Turok, The First Flight.
We did, which we didn't need to cover that either, but we covered it.
But it kind of set a precedent.
Hey, that was good.
That was a good show.
Okay. It was a good show that we did.
No, David.
What?
The show that we did about the show was good.
Dancing.
Yeah.
Rope dancing.
Ben was wrapped.
I was so in it.
And David, remember how funny that show was?
Yeah.
Turok, The First Flight.
It was funny.
It had a wicked humor.
God. Yeah. We're supposed to do like a lot of different things on this episode. To think who we were originally going to have on this episode, this bullshit.
We originally had a very big guest lined up for this episode, which is crazy.
Which is like, now that I think about it, I'm like, what the fuck were we thinking?
We were talking with a very big guest who I think will be on the podcast at some point.
It'd be lovely to have him. Or her.
Ooh.
Or them.
Yeah. Except it's a him. I mean, in this case, it's a him.
I gave it away.
I appreciate your sense of inclusiveness. But it has gone out of town, out of country for a long period of time.
It's whatever.
But we originally thought we were going to be able to do a whole episode in Avatarland because we were going to have him on. We sent him the list of all the movies we were covering in the future, and he said, I've been to Avatarland. That's what I want to talk about. And then when he bowed out,
We were like, let's just fucking do an episode anyway and then just answer a bunch of user questions.
Yeah, and here's another thing that we're going to do right now.
Okay. Garbage plate. This is the garbage plate episode.
Bigelows.
So what goes on a garbage plate? We've got
a Bigelow ranking. Onion rings. A trip to Avatarland. Mac and cheese.
So the classic elements of a red hot garbage plate are home fries, macaroni salad, baked beans, and then your meat.
So this is the baked beans because you guys have been you baked up your list.
Right.
Didn't do it on Detroit because we ran long. Forgot to do it on Justice League. We're doing it now. The list is baked. Are you ready? Here's my Catherine Bigelow list.
Yes. So again, we covered the films of Catherine Bigelow last, and we forgot to rank them.
Yes.
Because our final episode was Detroit, and it was with Black Man Can't Jump in Hollywood, and it was a whole
spectacular.
We were busy talking with them, and so anyway. So now we're doing it.
Okay, ready? Are we going to do ascending or descending?
I always just do descending. I think it's sort of silly to start at 10.
Okay, so ready?
Yeah.
I'm starting out.
Get ready. Do yours and then I'll do mine.
Okay.
Right, rather than alternate.
Right.
Yeah.
Number 1 film on my Catherine Bigelow list, Blue Steel.
That's crazy. You did love it.
I loved it. And I'll say this. It's the film to me that feels most individualistic to her.
Mm-hmm.
It is the film that feels most unique to her that no other filmmaker alive could make.
That's great. Keep going.
Number 2, The Hurt Locker.
Okay.
Number 3, Point Break.
Sure.
Number 4, Zero Dark 30.
Uh-huh.
Number 5, Strange Das.
Strange Days. So we have the same top 5 in a totally different order. Okay.
Number 6, Near Dark.
Yep.
Number 7, The Loveless.
Uh-huh.
Number 8, Detroit.
Mm-hmm.
Number 9, The Weight of Water.
Wow. We almost had the same bottom 5, but
number 10, K-19.
Wow, that's
the
rude to K-19. Wow.
I could not be bothered to
I know
care
you were
about
very
that film.
bored by it. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So my ranking is number 1, Strange Days. There it is. The days, they're strange. He's taking off his sweater, people.
Oh, keep talking.
Number 2, Point Break. Oh, God. Number 3, The Hurt Locker. Number 4, Blue Steel. Which, I thought 4 was high. This is the fucking
just
dumbest
keep going.
shit in the world.
Why are you interrupting yourself?
Number 5, Zero Dark 30. Number 6, Near Dark. Number 7, The Loveless. Number 8, Detroit. Number 9, K-19. Number 10, The Weight of Water. So we have basically the same back end. But the top end, we are all flipped around. Anyway. Boy. I wish I could tell you guys what's happening right now.
Tell them what's happening.
I mean, we'll tweet it out. We'll tweet out the pic.
But describe what's happening.
So Griffin took his sweater off, revealing a sort of sparkly teal shirt underneath that sort of mimics, oh my God, the skin of a Na'vi. Then he attached a belt that I think has the tail. I didn't really see it.
Yes.
He made some kind of a spear, which I don't really remember them having spears.
Sometimes.
Okay. Then he put on what I can only describe as monkey ears, but I guess they're supposed to be Na'vi ears. He just put on a necklace. This is beginning to... Oh, it glows. Feels like cultural appropriation.
So I'm going to say Griffin spent probably $200 or $300 on this outfit.
They don't not mark these things up in the theme park. He just attaches braid for sex and or networking purposes. He's got does the spear light up?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, he's got blue socks. Are those? Oh shit! Are you wearing a whole stocking underneath or just socks?
Just socks.
Okay. So you're not going to take your pants off?
They didn't have bathing suits.
Not this week.
Not this week. They didn't have bottoms. I desperately looked for bottoms. I did buy. They had flip flops that lit up like LA lights.
Uh-huh.
There's a lot of light up stuff in the theme park.
Right.
But I thought I could save $5 by buying the largest child size instead of the smallest adult size.
Right.
And in the process gave my feet horrible blisters.
Oh,
so I'm never wearing those ever again.
I wasn't asking you to be honest.
I'm telling you right now. Now you ask how much money I spent on this, and I respond to you, tax write-off, baby. I did this for work.
Oh my God, that's what this is?
Hells yeah, baby.
How?
Writing off my whole trip.
Have pity on your accountant.
No, honestly, you're so noble.
Writing off my whole trip, baby.
Truly a noble thing to do. Wow.
I didn't want to do it. I had to. Demands of a career.
Uh-huh. So.
No, David, please.
What? Please, what? What do you want me to do?
No, please.
Please, David, please.
So, you look like a fucking idiot.
What, you don't think this is a thing to commit to on an audio medium?
This is reminding me of
you don't think it's funny to spend hundreds of dollars on an audio?
All right, so first question, how much did you spend? Just rough ballpark.
Yeah.
We'll bleep it out.
Couple $100?
I think I came in at about...
For this or for everything you bought there?
For everything I bought there, which includes some gifts that I might distribute in a minute to the two of you.
All right, well, that's pretty good.
And I'll say your items are pricey. And here's the other thing, okay?
Whoa. I'm a pricey guy.
I got both of you some high-end items.
He splurged, folks.
I got you some high-end items that were both tax write-offs.
Right.
But here's the thing I got to say, okay? One, I went to Disney World with 3 other people.
Okay.
Scott Craterman.
Sure.
His fiance, my friend, Elisa Meligari.
Okay.
My best friend, Sophie Fader.
Yep.
Invoked many times on this podcast. The 4 of us went to Avatar World together, to Disney World together, okay?
Okay.
Scott is a Disney Parks fanatic. Okay. He's comes from a Disney timeshare family.
One of those,
Strategically, I know what time to be at what ride,
right,
and that. So he's got a discount because he's part of the Disney Vacation Club.
Good for him.
Okay? So when I went to buy my merchandise, he came up and used his card and said, this is my cousin, can he get the discount? So they were ringing up, said, yes, that's fine.
How much is the discount? 20%?
I think, 15, 20%, something like that. Okay. They were ringing it up, and then it went through. I signed my receipt, and then we realized, oh, wait, he forgot to apply the discount because the number seemed a little high.
Oh.
So because of that, he took $50 off.
All right.
So the first day I spent $150, right?
How many days did you spend at this place?
At Disney World in totality, or at Avatarland?
Both, I guess.
We went to Avatarland 3 times. It was a 5-day trip.
Did you have a hotel? Is it like a Disney hotel?
We stayed at the All-Star Music Resort, which is the budget-friendly Disney
But it's not
hotel.
like Florida Project budget friendly.
It's close.
Okay.
It's close. It's obviously more well-maintained.
Sure.
But that's the aesthetic.
Okay.
It's that kind of hotel.
So
that
Mooney
kind of
was there throwing ice cream at you or whatever.
Spinning on cars. All our good friends. We'll talk about that movie later.
Yes, we will.
Great movie. Willem Dafoe, more like Willem Defriend of good cinema.
Let's say it every week.
But it was that kind of thing, and it's got this really tacky music theming, so they're big sculptural banjos and fucking saxophones and shit. Stay there, okay?
Sure.
So it was maybe my entire purchase was $150, and then he was like, I'm sorry, he took $50 off of it.
Okay.
So then the next day I was like, you know what, I should go back and spend another $50 because I essentially got that $50 for free. So then I got the missing pieces, most expensive of which was the flip-flops, which I'm never going to wear again.
Wow. Great story.
These socks glow in the dark.
I mean, this is really what you want in a podcast.
Da-na-na.
Is someone describing his shopping experience at Avatarland.
And you describing what I look like. Describe my body language right now. Describe my position.
I mean, you kind of look like what I imagine Matthew McConaughey looks like when he's at home, You look very relaxed. You're wearing a lot of beads.
My feet are
Your
up.
feet are up on the desk.
Table.
You've got this staff sort of perched on your shoulder. So you sort of you look like a hobo, you're holding it like a hobo style,
bindle.
like a bindle.
And let me ask you, David, is my staff a glow?
It's a glow. And you're wearing your ears, which are attached to this band.
Yeah.
So you have this kind of mid-2000s soccer player kind of look.
Are they sticking out? Are they getting squashed?
Well, your ears, your ears are sort of poking out above your headphones.
That's perfect.
I was going to say it's kind of like a Coachella kind of look.
Sure, Coachella is a good call.
Braid too.
It's that's another good call. Either Coachella or a Portuguese sort of soccer star from 2005. You know what I mean? Early mid-2000s World Cup look.
Okay,
where you've got the braid and the sort of the headband. Yeah.
First note of constructive criticism.
Yeah.
Hey, Avatarland, make me some bottoms, make me some pants.
So you want a stocking
coupled with my hoodie? No, they could just be. Give me some sweatpants. Give me some bathing shorts. You know what I'm saying?
They should have made it a onesie.
Okay.
They didn't have any onesies.
Yeah.
They didn't. They had baby onesies.
We should say when we saw Taruk, the first flight.
Yes.
Those motherfuckers are in body stocking.
Correct.
Which is covering their whole body.
Yeah.
Their hands, everything. So they look like Na'vi. And then they have blue makeup on their face.
Now, this is a really good entry point to start talking about my experience at Avatarland, okay?
Great.
Because this is the first thing that I was surprised by, but ultimately impressed by.
Okay.
It's what Ben, were you going to say?
Are you going to apply blue paint the whole time you're doing this?
Yes.
Oh.
I mean, it depends on how long it takes me to cover.
Just don't get it on the equipment.
Yeah, that's fine.
Right.
They did have a lot of face painting stations at Avatarland. And a lot of drums. People were playing drums.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm reading an article right now. What's up?
You're reading an article?
Tell me about Avatarland.
Okay, so we wake up 7 a.m. first morning because Scott knows Avatarland's the new attraction. We got to get there early, right?
Okay, so it's working.
It's working.
Like, Avatarland is a hit.
It's a big hit.
Okay.
But it's also like, time will really tell.
Uh-huh.
Because right now, Disney parks have like such a fandom around them that any new attraction is going to attract a lot of people.
Right, but will it stick?
Right, because like Harry Potter Land is still enormous.
Of course, people
at
love
Universal.
Harry Potter.
It's been huge.
You know
them.
what else is still popular?
What?
Harry Potter.
Correct.
Now, you know what else doesn't seem that popular right now?
The Tar.
Avatar.
The Tar.
The Na'vi. For example, when we saw Taruk the First Flight, you know how many seats were filled at the Barclays Center?
Maybe 15%.
That seems a little. I mean, I was going to say 25.
Yeah.
Maybe 30.
And for those who have not heard our Taruk episode, we also bought nosebleeds and they upgraded us to 4th row because the stadium was so empty.
That is true.
We end up getting tickets that were like 4 times the value.
Yes, and we ended up getting aggressively shushed by someone who filmed the entire thing on their phone.
So, I think Disney, for so long, had such a lead over Universal. And Universal has been playing some serious catch-up with Harry Potter. And also, I don't know if you know this, recently bought the rights to do a Nintendo Land.
I heard about that.
Which is going to be humongous.
Sure.
They've got these 2 big non-Disney properties that they've roped in. So Disney's now getting a little,
antsy.
Right. And so they know they got Star Wars. They know they got Marvel. They're injecting both of those in the park in a bigger way. But Avatar was their first big push for a new property, right? And it is this weird thing where you go, well, I know it's such a meme now. They're like, it's the biggest movie of all time. No one even remembers anything about it. Right. And then people making the jokes about, if you didn't remember it, then why would you keep on talking about no one remembers anything about it?
Sure.
And the jokes about the jokes and the jokes and the jokes and the jokes.
It's such a great time we all have online.
It's a great time. The internet's great. Burn it down. But you do go there and you go like, is this really going to feel relevant? But the thing I found walking in immediately was, oh, wow. Avatar works better as a theme park than as a movie.
Uh-huh.
And I like Avatar as a movie, as you know. I think sometimes people think that we are the 2 biggest Avatar fans in the world.
Right.
Because we're the only people not shitting on Avatar and film Twitter right now.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
We both just think it's really fucking solid and has some exemplary direction, right?
Yeah.
But
great action.
Right, but for people who love like mythologies and world building and universes.
It's not like I give one shit about the Na'vi. Whatever. Who cares?
And I even talked about it in our Avatar episode for how much that movie works for me. I don't find the design of Pandora that inspiring.
It's fine. It's nice.
Fine. It's fine. But those people who are like, oh man, I got to go 20 times to the theater because I want to live in Pandora.
Right.
I never got that. And if any complaint I have about Avatar stands head and shoulders above the rest, it's I wish he even could have gone a little further out there.
Sure.
I wish the Na'vi looked even less humanoid.
Okay, but Avatarland.
I step into this park and I go, Jesus Christ, this is perfect.
Uh-huh.
Because the level of stylization for the movie is kind of stunning when you're walking around it in real life.
Okay.
And they've replicated it really, really well. So you walk into the Animal Kingdom and
everyone's... Very hard to
everyone's...
take you seriously when you have this braid. Uh-huh. You walk in. Yep.
For the listener at home, what am I doing?
You're stroking your braid.
Da-na-na.
Keep going.
Animal Kingdom, you're walking through, and then there's a very subtle transition into when you're entering the Avatar area. Suddenly, the plants are looking a little stranger.
Uh-oh.
A little purpler.
Uh-oh.
And off in the distance, what's that you see? The floating mountains of Pandora.
Uh-oh.
Which are really fucking well executed.
Uh-huh.
They sort of design them so that the vines are hiding the support beams holding them up.
Okay.
So even if you're close, you can see that they're tethered to the ground. But if you're walking under them, you really kind of buy the scale of it. Now, here's the thing I was most impressed by. Unlike Taruk the First Flight, you have no cast members playing Na'vi.
Okay.
The expectation, I think, for a lot of people was that you'd walk in and there'd be some jamokes on stilts.
Right.
Right?
You're saying it's all animatronic.
and the employees are dressed up as essentially RDA employees. They're like, the cast members are functioning like Sigourney Weavers, being like, we're humans who have come here to bridge the gap with the Na'vi. I think technically the idea is that the park takes place thousands of years after the movies. So like the human Na'vi wars have ended and we're all good now.
Jesus fucking Christ. So you're saying, all right, so Taruk.
Yes. It's
in case anyone didn't remember, it takes place about 1,000 years before the movie.
No.
First flight.
It's about the first flight.
Yeah.
TBH. It's first flight.
Yes.
And this is 1,000 years after.
Something like that.
Because James Cameron he's too busy.
He's like, don't encroach on my territory with what I want to cover in the movies. Go far enough away. And just now it's peaceful, coexistence. It's great. So all the cast members are expats.
Right.
Who now live on Pandora. Right. The Na'vi we see are animatronics within the rides. I think second biggest note behind give me some bottoms at the gift shop.
Yeah.
I would love a planted animatronic or two when you're walking around the park of a Na'vi. It kind of gives it some magic that you only see the Na'vi when you're on the rides, but the animatronics are so impressive. And I'm a huge robot fan. And that's the thing I like most about Disney World is fucking Walt Disney was good at robots.
This is just so dumb.
And I love all the robots at this park.
Ben and I are just looking at each other.
But like they have like at night they do like a drum show where they explain to you the musical traditions of the Na'vi. But that feels like a little like, because it's like some dumb fucking humans reappropriating the Na'vi culture and going like in Na'viland, Pandora, and they're like playing these big ceremonial drums and wearing like kind of what I'm wearing right now.
That sounds incredibly embarrassing.
Yeah, it is.
I don't know how else to put it. Yeah.
But there are no kind of freestanding Na'vi's animatronics or even creature animatronics. I'd love a dire wolf. An Ikron.
Dactyls? The flying guys?
Yeah.
Is there a flying thing?
No.
Is there a 6-legged horse?
I think that's the dire horse. Yeah.
Whatever. You said dire wolf.
Oh, I think I'm combining two things.
Yeah.
No, not in the walk around area. Damn. The walk around area is more focused on flora and fauna.
That's cool.
And there's a beautiful ambiance. There's sort of a nature track. You hear the sounds of the creatures around you, okay? Now, when I was walking through, there was a cast member dressed up as like an RDA employee or whatever, talking to another cast member. And he was saying that he wasn't performing for anyone else. He was talking just to another person. And he went, so he's just standing there in the middle of the area. And then this dire horse comes up right behind him, 2 inches behind him. And I went like, wait, is this guy eagerly explaining the plot of Avatar to another employee? Or is he so in character that not even communicating with visitors, he wants people to believe that he's telling stories of what he's seen in Pandora?
Uh-huh.
And it's that level of detail.
Is there, remember how when we went to Taruk, there was that guy who farted at the condiment table? Is there anything like that going on?
Yes, many fat people were farting. It's Orlando, Florida. I mean, come on.
Was there any sauce boys?
There were sauce boys.
It's got to be.
There were sauce boys, okay? So we're walking around this area. We go immediately to the first ride, which is now the most popular ride at Disney World.
Avatar Flight of Passage?
Correct.
Which is is it like a 3D, like a VR ride?
Yes.
So it's not like a roller coaster.
No.
It's like you get in like a simulation booth.
Right. They have 2 rides right now, and I'd say they.
Is it like one of those things where it goes like?
I'm going to tell you what it is. It's to blow your mind.
Okay. I remember those things.
Yes.
Though I loved them when I was a kid.
This is kind of like that.
Okay.
The third ride I think they could use is like a roller coaster.
Right.
I think they could use a good roller coaster because right now they have a great motion simulator. They have a dark story ride. They need like a thrill ride.
They need when you're on the birds. Well,
that's what this is.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay, fine.
But maybe I don't know. Look, fucking give me 2 Ikron rides. Give me some fucking. It's not like we shouldn't double down on Banshees at a fucking Avatar theme park. You know?
I just don't care.
So the first ride we get there, and the line was really long, but we got there first thing in the morning. So I think we only waited like an hour and a half. And we were asking the employees, like, what's the worst wait time you've had? And they were like 600 minutes.
600 minutes?
Yes.
Wait, I have to do the math. That's 10 hours, basically.
Correct.
Wait, like someone waited 10 hours?
Many people. I mean, if that many people weren't willing to wait, the wait would not be that long.
But that... So, like, when they say 600 minutes, they literally mean, they just mean that at the peak, they were telling people you would have to wait 600 minutes.
There's like an LED screen.
There can't be someone who would actually wait 10 hours.
Many did. Otherwise, the wait would not be there.
Well, but surely some...
Like she was saying like the opening weeks.
Sure.
Fanatics were waiting like 10 hours.
That's like...
But on an
people
average
sleep
day...
outside of movie theaters.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the same shit.
On an average day, it can still hit 4 hours.
For one, people don't really do that anymore. But for two, when you sleep... Well, you've got problems.
Yeah, that's also just by choice, Ben. You're not waiting to see a movie.
When people sleep outside a movie theater, they spent money on the ticket. It's just the ticket. But here it's like...
Well, it used to be you were waiting so you could spend the money.
Fucking well actuallying me. So, but here it's like you paid to get into Avatarland, right? So it's like it's a lot of time wasted on the one ride.
I agree. And there's a system called the Fast Pass system where you can sign up online to get a time to come back. But the Avatar Fast Pass, from the moment they went on sale when the park opened in June, maybe, they were pretty much filled up for the rest of the year.
It's like a whole world I don't understand at all.
A world of Pandora.
Like, I would go to Disney World if it was in Brooklyn and I had to wait 0 minutes for every ride. You know what I mean?
God, can you imagine if there was a Disney World in Brooklyn?
We're like hipster world.
Yeah, the fourth theme park would be called Coffee Land. What about artisanal roller coasters? Ben's got my staff and he's acting like he's angry, like he's a warrior. He's poking at the sky.
Hold it still, Benna. It's blurring.
It's too much of an action shot. Ben can't stop fighting. This is the best episode we've ever done.
This is a real throwback to those fucking Star Wars episodes we would do where, like, God knows what we were talking about.
Yeah. Or rather, Awa knew what we were talking about. So we ended up having to wait maybe a little over an hour change. We got there pretty early, right? And marched right through. But they were saying sometimes the line is so long that the wait to get on the Avatar ride extends past the front gates to Animal Kingdom.
Jesus.
You can't even get into Animal Kingdom because the line's so long. But we wait a reasonable amount, and the pre-ride area is great because it's like the fucking Avatar Labs, right? It's like you feel like you could turn around and see Dilip Rao at any moment.
Is that how you say his name?
I don't know. I took a swing.
Dilip Rao.
I think you're probably right. But they have the giant tank with like the Jake Sully avatar. You know when he sees his avatar for the first time and it's like comatose?
I've seen the film.
And they have a beautiful, and it's like fleshy enough that it like kind of like, it spasms. There's unobtainium. You see unobtainium.
What's Dilip Rao up to?
I don't know. He came out of the gate so strong.
But like that,
and then they locked the gates.
They locked him.
Yeah.
Jeez.
He worked with 3 huge American directors on his first 3 movies and then was out of here. So then we get on the ride, okay? Now here's the cornerstone of the ride. Disney now owns 3 of the 4 biggest screens in the world.
Okay.
The 4th one is some fucking IMAX screen. Or some museum screen. And the other 3 are all on this ride. So this ride is based around the fucking biggest screen you can ever imagine, okay?
Right. I'm listening.
I'm listening too. It's big.
Big screen, okay?
Oh, I see.
When you go inside, they give you the pre-training thing, the video where there's some avatar like fucking
telling you,
or an RDA employee going like, we have to match you with this. There's a nice kind of thing where they scan you and they show you what your avatar is going to look like, and they do it in real time. So you're watching it on a video, and that's like fun. And then you go inside the proper room, and they give you 3D glasses, okay? And then your ride, it is like a motion simulator thing.
Yeah.
But unlike Star Tours, where it's like you're in one box,
right?
Or some of these other things where it's like you're in one suit. You got to think outside the box. You're in one chair, and that chair moves around. Your ride vehicle is supposed to represent the Ikran, or the Banshee, as humans call it.
Banshee,
okay?
Right.
And so you board your ride vehicle like it's a motorcycle.
Wow.
So you sit forward like this with your legs on the side, strapped in, and there's like a back support that comes in. So you're like fully like in position.
Kinda cool.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Like you're riding a creature, and then the screen comes up, and they sort of like stack aisles on. So if you look to the side, you can see like 40 people over here, 40 people up there, 40 people down here.
Right.
You know, but your thing moves individually, and your ride vehicle, which isn't on like a track, it's just sort of shifting around, right? To simulate the feeling of riding a living creature, breathes.
Okay.
So like in between your legs, the thing's expanding.
I'm going to give you like 10 more minutes on Avatarland. So, use them wisely.
I need like 40.
No.
And contract things. So you feel like you're riding a living, breathing creature.
Yeah.
Which Sophie said felt very sexual to her.
I love it. Sexy ride.
And the ride is just, you're learning how to fly a Banshee. But it is so exquisitely done.
And the big screens, I assume, are like you're flying through the sky.
Yeah. And best execution of 3D I've ever seen, period.
Oh, you have the 3D glasses on?
You have the 3D glasses, but also the only successful application of smell-o-vision I have ever witnessed.
Oh, what are you smelling?
Like nature smells, but it's so fucking well done you feel like you're in a forest, which really like sells the sensory experience of like you're going through a tree and they're like pines, but it doesn't smell artificial.
But when you go through a tree, do they like hit you in the face?
There's some spritzing of water, there's some like spritzing of air, there's stuff like that, and there's some good drops. There are a good number of na-na-na-nas.
But when you drop, it doesn't drop.
No, but it is so sensory and it tilts quick enough.
Cool.
There's enough going on that it tricks your mind into
that.
it.
That sounds fun.
And from a technical standpoint, it's the most impressive piece of ride making I've ever seen.
Cool.
So we went on that and we liked it so much. I think on our last day, we got there super early before opening.
Did it again.
We were able to get on it within 15 minutes, which was a really big accomplishment because we were at like the front of the line.
I'd say you're one of America's greatest heroes.
I think so.
Yeah.
Big shout out to Scott Craven for coordinating that properly. Mm-hmm. And then the second ride.
I want to point out, you came back from this whole excursion completely wrecked.
Yes.
Like we were supposed to record this episode, I believe, the day after you got back, and you were just like, it's not going to happen.
I was sick for a week.
Yeah.
I'll say this whole trip was very, I came out of it feeling very fatalistic.
Okay.
I felt my mortality more than I have in a long time.
Well, you're growing up.
Which I hate. It's dumb and I fucking don't like it.
Mm.
But like I hadn't been to Disney since I was 20. And now I'm a haggard man of 28.
All right, so I'm going to wrap you up soon.
The second ride.
The Navi River journey.
Right. It's like a dark story ride.
Right.
You're sort of in a boat. It's wet. You're in the water.
Yeah, I'm very fond of those.
I love those.
Because I'm not really a thrill seeker.
Me neither.
Roller coasters, they're okay, but like I don't some people are very drawn to roller coasters. I'm not at all. But I like the dark story rides.
You know why?
You're immersed into this
atmospheric.
world.
We love narrative.
But people make
fun
of them.
narrative rides. Yeah,
right?
Those people can go fuck themselves.
I know that like Pirates of the Caribbean is a little cheesy at this point or whatever.
No, the problem with Pirates of the Caribbean now is it's all about fucking Jack Sparrow now.
Right.
There are literally
like
six different Jack Sparrow robots now. And the whole ride is everyone going like, where's Jack Sparrow? And you're trying to play like, where's Waldo?
I feel like all these studios, Disney and Warner Brothers, they're so fucked. They're so like dug in with Johnny Depp.
They're into Depp.
They are into Depp. They like literally like because they're like there was this big interview today where David Yates was like,
I saw that.
Well, I just think the whole thing's overblown. It was just one accusation. It's like, yeah, it was one accusation from his wife. Like it's not like some random like anonymous person. Like wait, but beyond that, like the thing that they need to be saying is like, look, maybe we regret paying Johnny Depp whatever it is signing him to whatever contract we signed him to.
And that one's especially frustrating just because they already had fucking Colin Farrell.
I know. Well, we've ranted about that before. But I'm just like, and the same with fucking Disney, where they like probably like 5 years ago, they were like, just make as many Depp bots as you can.
Yeah, it's
build
honestly,
them out.
And I'll say this: the robots are really good. They're really good Depp bots, but that makes it more unsettling.
Yeah.
So this dark ride, which also has long wait times, I think sort of as the runoff, and I would say is not worth waiting too long for. We had a blankie on the Reddit who was saying the wait time was disproportionate to his enjoyment.
Yeah.
It's a pretty short ride, but it's sort of Pandora at night.
Sure.
And this is the ride where we have all the animatronics of the creatures, but also some really good 3D projection. So you have things running around. You have the sort of sprites in the air. And there are a couple Navi that are fucking unbelievable. The fluidity of their motion. The old like Hall of Presidents thing is the robots just kind of flap their mouths. There's no real lip sync. This, we have like a Navi who's like reciting a prayer and it's like perfect fucking lip movements. And it also makes you realize how big these fucking things are. Because sometimes when you're watching Avatar the movie, you lose sense of scale if you spend too much time just around Navi.
They're really tall.
When you see Navi built as robots, you're like, this is pretty fucking astonishing.
Cool.
So the last thing I have to say about the Avatar theme park is we went back one time at night because at night, just the walk around.
Yeah,
it's all lit up in a really kind of beautiful way. They do a very classy sort of bioluminescence. and change the whole sort of vibe of the place. And that would be a great thing, I would say. You're just kind of in the Orlando area, want to grab a quick green beer, maybe stop by Avatarland at night, take in the night sights. I have some photos and videos that I'll post to our Twitter. But the thing that was nice, I tried to take a video of the story ride. And Scott was like, get ready to be a little disappointed. This ride's too short. Our ride broke down. So we were stuck in one spot for like 3 minutes, which actually was great because we got to spend more time in kind of the ambiance. It was in like a pretty spot. Yeah. You know? So that was good. Now I'm gonna play it. So we'll get off the Avatar section, even though listeners are probably not anywhere near their filled. David's demanding it. I have some audio I've recorded with my friends, with Scott, Elisa, and Sophie, and also our good friend Becca Siegel, who works at Universal now, has also worked at Disney, so has some insider perspective on theme park culture. But it was a nice trip overall, even though it did make me feel like I was 75 years old and I can't tolerate fun anymore. I also it was kind of nice, I'll say this, not to like fucking, but there was this moment where I was like on Space Mountain or something, and I was like, this is one of the last completely apolitical art forms. Like, there's no way
of theme parks.
I was like, we're just on a ride, everyone's moving really fast, everyone's screaming really loud together, and we're all just having fun. You know?
I get that.
There's a kind of unifying thing about being on this car with all these strangers and everyone just having these like totally involuntary reactions of joy and fear and tension and all of that. Country Bears Jamboree is a little problematic. I mean, that gets into like tricky territory. But most of the attractions are nice, kind of bipartisan, just human experiences, even if I feel like I'm 75 and I can't do it anymore. So I'm going to play this audio.
Okay.
But before I do, I come bearing gifts from the land of Pandora.
Okay, here we go.
The natives and their traditions. They passed on to me 2 things. I said, I have 2 friends. And they said, you are one of the 2 friends, right? And I said, yes. And one of the 2 friends that I'm right now referencing is one of those 2 friends. The other friend is a different friend. He's not one of the 2 friends, but he's a great friend. And don't take that as any sort of backhanded slam against him. Ben.
Yeah, what's up?
There is a tradition among the Na'vi to drink the juice of the bean every morning.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
And then yell out the ceremonial chant, "Pow, I sheet my pants."
Okay.
And so I got for you, in order to drink the ceremonial juice of the bean, straight from the land of Pandora, far too intricately wrapped. Jesus, there's another fucking layer. It is a mug representing...
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
The floating mountains.
The floating mountains of Pandora. It's a floating mountains mug.
Oh, my God. Wow.
This thing is... Ooh, it's actually substantial.
It's a good mug.
It's also great mug.
It's also sort of like asymmetrical, you know what I mean?
It's a great mug.
A weird sort of knobbly mug.
A nice ceramic mug. Now, David, I know you've been reckoning with your own mortality recently. Not to put you on blast. You crossed into 30 recently.
Not that recently.
Joined the New York Film Critics Circle.
True.
You know, you're questioning the next stage of your life.
Right.
And, you have a house where you live.
Uh-huh.
But a house is not a home without a family.
Okay.
And I'm not trying to put any pressure on you, but it's maybe time to take on that added responsibility. So, David... Straight from Pandora.
Oh my God.
An infant of the land.
Give me this thing.
Wrapped in a traditional blanket. Describe to the listener what you're holding. Hey, careful.
Now, actually, I have a question. Like, do we see Avatar babies in the movie?
No,
we don't at all,
we
do we? No. Maybe in the like...
Okay, a little neck support there, please. Okay, thank you.
So this is a baby Na'vi. It's got a little Velcro blanket.
Wrapped in a blankie.
Wrapped in a blankie. Good point. It's got a big old smile.
Yeah, he's happy to see you, David. You're his new daddy.
It's got a mohawk, basically, like kind of a little straight line tuft.
He's a punker.
Kind of basically looks like a baby Nightcrawler, a Bamf.
Yes. Yeah, he looks a little bit like a Bamfer. Yeah.
Little tail.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a pretty big tail, actually. Oh, it's actually wearing like a loincloth.
Yeah, well, you're not going to see its baby dick. Get out of here, fucking pervert.
God. All right. It's beautiful.
Where are you going to put that in your apartment, David?
Well, in a crib. He has to buy a crib.
I just saw how much this cost. and I believe the word sticker shock. And then
tax deductible, baby.
The weirdest part is
it's a charitable donation.
There's a tag, right? With like a picture of like what a baby Navi like really looks like, I guess, because it's terrifying. It does not look like this.
Baby Navi in real life apparently looks like Tom Sizemore.
Like, no shit. And like also this picture of the baby Navi has braids and this does not have braids.
No, because he's a punker.
Yeah. Very cool.
A lot of cool items at the gift shop. They also had, you could buy your own e-crown that you put on your shoulder. You could squeeze it and the wings would flap. They also have a booth where you can make your own Navi action figure that's supposed to look like you, but I don't think the technology is very good, so I didn't get it because it was very expensive and it didn't look like the people who come in.
Yeah, so were those our gifts?
So yes, those are our gifts.
We're all done? Okay.
And now we're going to go to audio, straight from the source, the land of Pandora. Okay, hi, this is Griffin Claude Barrister Dauphin Hunter Newman. I'm here live at Pandora, the world of Avatar, a.k.a. Avatarland, a.k.a. My home, my new home. I'm here with good friends, not 2 friends, but in fact 4 friends. Sophie Fader, Becca Siegel, Lisa Mulligari, Scotty Craterman. I mean, God, what an incredible time it's been, and only getting more and more incredible by the second. I am currently wearing a full Navi outfit, a bit of cultural appropriation, but the locals have accepted me as one of their own. Sophie, off reference on the podcast, first time, long time. What do you think about the land of Pandora?
I think it's soothing. I think it's delightful. I think it has sounds, visuals. It smells vaguely like burnt marshmallows. And it's basically paradise in space.
On a scale from 1 to bioluminescent, how bioluminescent would you describe Pandora at night, which is where we currently are at the time now?
I would say we're about 60 miles under the ocean looking at a bioluminescent octopus. It's bioluminescent octopus out of 10.
Becca Siegel, you have been a cast member at both Universal Studios and Disney, so you're an insider expert on theme parks. How would you rank this experientially in terms of the craft, in terms of the business operations?
Well, because of my current standing, I can't speak, too completely highly, but I think it's really well done. I think it's beautiful. I think I was concerned about the lack of any kind of reference point for a guest, because we don't have characters that we're seeing walking around that we relate to or engage with. But I think the look of it's just so beautiful. And I too wanted to buy things.
Okay, so, I forgot that you can't talk about it because of conflicts of interest with your career. Oh, here's a random woman walking by. Her name is Jane Person. Jane Person, what are your thoughts?
Oh, it's me, Jane Person. Oh, this place is so beautiful. The colors, the lights, the sounds. I wanted to buy a make your own bead necklace, because there's a couple different beads you can use. I liked the way the footprints on the ground are so large. I liked that there was a special drink with little bubbles in it.
Okay, great transition. Thank you, Jane Person. Thank you, Becca Siegel. Lisa Mulligari, the breakout star of this entire trip has unquestionably been the Avatar drink. Can you give us a description of this drink, aka the best thing I've ever tasted in my entire life?
Sure. This drink is really delightfully flavorful. It is really sweet, has hints of passion fruit, and has these delightful little yellow boba balls that when they explode in your mouth, they're really tart and delicious.
Amazing. Scott Craterman, you are a Disney parks fanatic. How many times have you been to Disney World now?
Probably over 40.
That's insane.
Well, I was a little apprehensive about this place because Disney really hasn't come up with something new that I've thought has been up to real Disney standard in a long time. The only ride that they've come out with that has been like a headliner in a long time is probably Everest, and I didn't think that was so great.
And how many Na'vi were there on the ride Everest?
Zero Na'vi.
Yeah, bad ride.
Yeah, one broken Yeti for 15 years, 10 years, whatever it is. But Harry Potter at Universal has really pushed Disney to up its game. And I really feel like, despite my apprehension, they knocked it out of the park. It is incredibly themed. They were able to do an amazing job taking a property that nobody really cares about. And
I present that?
Yeah, nobody really cares about, and make it something that you want to be at and live in. The rides are the Flights of Passage ride in particular is spectacular. It's like Soarin', but Soarin', like I always hoped it could be at some point, taking the technology to the next level and making an experience out of something instead of just flying over a landscape. Really impressed with the ride. Impressed with the land. Impressed with the land at night. It's like this is my second time here now from 2 days ago, and I still don't really feel like I've gotten a hang of or a feel for what it is, because there's so much to look at and there's just so much detail.
Well, you heard it here first. Avatarland, aka the World of Pandora, at Animal Kingdom at Walt Disney World Resort is a hit. Okay, so that was the audio from my voyage to Avatarland. Thanks again to my friends for agreeing to be on my... they didn't really agree.
Great.
I sort of accosted them into it.
Can't wait for them to sue us.
Now, David, I should acknowledge, just for the listener at home, because they don't know this, now that we're transitioning out of the Avatarland section of our episode into the mailbag section, I have removed all my ceremonial Avatar land garb.
Except for your shirt, yeah.
Well, no, I will, for the listener at home, I'm taking this off now.
Okay,
and
all right, well, there it goes. Oof, there it goes.
And now I'm fully naked.
Watch
so, David,
out,
I can't wear this Avatar garb anymore because we're not talking about it.
No.
I need something to put on my body.
That's the question we've all asked.
Something's better than what I'm wearing right now, which is my dumb skin.
Well, I think Mack Weldon is better than whatever you're wearing right now, which, to be clear, is not very much at all. Mack Weldon, good clothes. They believe in smart design. They believe in premium fabrics, and best of all, simple shopping.
Okay, but let me run down some things. Okay, you say this is a clothing company. Do they make underwear?
Yep.
Really?
I'm wearing Mack Weldon underwear as we speak, actually.
Hey.
I have been shopping at Mack Weldon ever since they first partnered up with us.
Yes, they gave us a little.
They wanted us to try it out, and I've gotten underwear.
Yeah,
I've gotten socks.
Yeah,
I've gotten shirts.
Yeah,
polo shirts.
Yeah,
a few of those, which I like a lot. They've also got silver underwear.
They do,
and shirts, silver shirts, which are antimicrobial.
It's a new antimicrobial technology. Make things smell good.
It means they don't stink.
I don't like stinky stuff.
And I haven't had this trouble, obviously, but if you don't like your pair of whatever it is you buy, just send it back. They'll refund, no questions asked.
Or guess what? You can keep it and they'll still refund.
All right, so we got to get Griffin some clothes.
Yep. Yeah.
Right, so maybe we'll order something.
Yeah, because this is an HR situation what's happening in here right now. So go to Mack Weldon.
What's their fastest delivery time? Do they deliver within like 5 or 10 minutes?
Yeah. So go to MackWeldon.com.
Yeah, because right now I'm getting cold. You're going to go on and there's going to be a box for a promo code. And here's what you got to do.
MackWeldon.com.
Don't leave the box blank.
Put in blank.
You gotta put a blank in there.
Promo code blank.
BLANK.
That is going to get you 20% off Mack Weldon stuff. And honestly, I have become a genuinely big fan. MackWeldon.com, promo code blank.
Now, let me rustle in here for a second. Hold on one second. Oh, what's in here? Oh my God, it's a mailbag. We're going to do some listener mail. And I want to start off with a request that we got because we had alluded to in a recent episode our pitch for Men in Black 2 that we had come up with.
Yeah, we cooked this up at a trivia night.
Solidified our friendship.
One time. It did. It was an early,
Hashtag the two friends is competitive advantage. Okay. Ben's staring into his mug. It's a good quality mug.
It looks cool.
Yeah.
It's like drinking out of rocks.
Yeah. Floating rocks.
Yeah.
And then we referenced it again recently, and it came out. I thought we had talked about it on the podcast, but we've never given our pitch before. So I promised we were going to do it in the Justice League episode on the Reddit, and then forgot to do that. So I promised in the Reddit that we were going to do it on this episode. So let's give now our Men in Black 2 pitch.
Okay. Do you remember it?
I remember it vividly.
Great.
Because I've repitched it. And I told you this. I repitched it to Barry Josephson, producer of the Men in Black trilogy.
Right. And he was like, that's what we should have done.
That's what we should have done. Okay?
Yeah.
David and I were sitting at the bar of Videology. Men in Black 2 was on TV. We were talking about what a bummer that movie was.
Yep.
And we got into the central kind of Gordian knot of making a Men in Black sequel.
Of course, because your key problem, of course, is Men in Black ends with Tommy Lee Jones making this very emotional decision to leave the Men in Black and return to his teenage love.
And then Will Smith,
and
Agent
erase his
J,
memory.
Right.
Yeah.
Sees on the National Enquirer, which we now know is the one legitimate newspaper.
Right.
Man awakes from multi-decade coma.
Right. And he
goes
feels
back
good.
to his wife.
Right.
Seems happy. and you want him to be happy.
Also, he's with Linda Fiorentino playing Agent L.
That's Will Smith is with, right?
Yeah.
So that's the sequel that's set up. But the problem is, you can't make a Men in Black 2 without Tommy Lee Jones, but you don't want to disrupt the happiness that Tommy Lee Jones has earned. I would say deserves by the end of that first movie.
Exactly. So what Men in Black 2 decided to do was there's some problem, like some old alien comes who only Tommy Lee Jones can deal with.
Yes.
Will Smith, Agent J goes to get him back and like uses this like memory putter back in her to put his memories
He has
back.
to essentially make him miserable again.
But not only that, and it's only dealt with offhand.
Yeah.
His wife, like their marriage fell apart.
Right.
Off screen.
Right. When he finds Kay, he's working at a post office. He's grumpy as fuck.
Yeah.
And he's just like, I'm divorced. My wife let me. And just like, this is a bummer.
It is a bummer. And it's more like, I'm fine with the idea that his life, even though he'd forgotten about it in the Men in Black, sort of was like a splinter in his mind.
Sure.
And but that's got to be dealt with seriously, not as just an obvious, like, well, we needed him back. So,
right.
Yeah.
And it was a big thing that neither of them want to work with Linda Fiorentino again.
Sorry. I don't think anyone, look.
Yeah.
That's all rumor
Yes.
or whatever, but certainly she is not in Men in Black 2 or 3.
The rumor I have heard,
really any movies.
Right. The rumor I've heard, and it is not from the close source to Men in Black who I've already referenced. This was just a thing I remember hearing on the interwebs. Because I read an early draft of Men in Black 2 where she had one scene, and Will Smith said, "Are you sure you don't want to come back out in the field?" And she said, "No, I prefer being here in the autopsy." Right. And they apparently said, "We won't do it if she has even one scene."
Wow.
They did not like working with her. Okay.
She's fantastic in Men in Black.
Unbelievable. Should have won the Oscar.
It's an absolutely wonderful performance.
Yeah, it's an incredible performance. But we were like, okay, is there a way to make a movie that's still a K&J team up that isn't such a bummer, that doesn't have to go to such sweaty lengths to get him back on the force, right?
Right.
And the answer we came up with was, top of the movie, pretty similar opening to what we have. Will Smith's got a new partner. It's just not the same. It's not the same magic.
His new partner is Warburton.
In the movie.
In the movie, yeah.
I would maybe go with someone who's more dull than dolt, if that makes sense.
Sure, fine.
Their
but
attitude
Warburton's kind of cute in Men in Black 2.
He's cute.
Nothing
I think he's not bad in it,
okay,
right?
so right. Yeah, so we're in it.
It's just not the same,
We're
right?
in it.
He misses
Smith's got
Kay.
his
He's got
partner.
the picture on his desk. He misses Kay, and he hasn't been able to get back in touch with him.
Yeah.
Ooh, weird alien crash landing, much like in Men in Black 1, when the Edgar bug crashes onto Edgar's farm, and Siobhan Fallon, as Vincent D'Onofrio's wife, is sort of the first-hand witness who they have to interview.
Yeah.
They go, you have to go out to the countryside. You have to go interview this guy who saw the alien firsthand. Who's the guy? Whose property did it land on? Well, it's a kind, retired man with his wife who he's in love with.
Ding, 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 ding.
Tommy Lee Jones.
Boom.
But he's fully neuralized.
Uh-oh.
Doesn't remember anything.
They don't know each other.
Doesn't believe aliens exist.
So here's what you still have.
Other people reported on it. Agent J is like, what about this alien thing? He was like, probably a light show, fireworks. I don't think it was really an alien.
Instead of the dynamic in Men in Black 1.
Yes.
Where Tommy Lee Jones is the mentor, seen it all.
Yes.
He's taking Will Smith through things. Will Smith's kind of the funny guy.
Yeah.
Now you flipped it.
Yeah.
So that they both get to do something new.
And here's the thing.
Tommy Lee Jones still gets to be curmudgeonly. Right? But in a new way.
Because Men in Black 2...
Will Smith still gets to be fun and kind of energetic, but in a new way.
And there's a real kind of emotional charge to, here's this guy with the person he loves and has been missing, but this guy doesn't even remember him. You know?
Yeah.
It's like 50 First Dates. He's got to make Kay fall in love with him again so they can be best friends.
Right.
And you end the movie on some note maybe of them like meeting up to get coffee. And Jay's still in the agency and Kay's now a new friend who doesn't remember their whole history, but they become friends again.
Right.
And they're whole. And Men in Black 2, they try to flip it again to make like Will the straight man. Well, and Tommy the funny guy.
It's this amazing thing where I read this interview, because Men in Black 2 came after Wild Wild West.
Correct.
I read this interview with Sonnenfeld, where he was like, you know what? And this is between those two movies. You know, looking back on Wild Wild West.
I whiffed on that one.
I don't think it worked. And I think one of the problems was it was two straight men.
Yeah.
Like Will Smith and Kevin Kline both kind of had to play the straight man role. And so like the dynamics were all off. And I won't make that mistake again. Then he makes the mistake again in Men in Black 2. It's the exact same mistake.
And the other problem is he wants Tommy Lee Jones to be the dumb one. So they make it, brain damage because the deneuralization. He's kind of just like an idiot in that movie. I think it's funnier to have him be a curmudgeon.
Yeah.
You know? Still be high status in that way because he doesn't respect Will Smith.
He's Tommy Lee Jones.
But now he just doesn't believe in aliens.
Yeah.
So that's a great movie. It would have made $500 million and won Best Picture. That's our Men in Black 2. Would have ruled.
And then Men in Black 3 is just like...
Whatever.
It's like going for broke in a way, but it's so forgettable.
Yeah.
But it has this like much bigger idea where there's like time travel in the 60s and Will Smith's dad, played by Mike Coulter.
Correct.
And like
Luke Cage himself. One of the most handsome men alive.
Extremely handsome.
I did a pilot with that guy once, and it's kind of stunning how good looking.
Is he nice?
It's so fucking nice.
Yeah. I just believe it.
Yeah.
So that would be our pitch, and I think it's a really good pitch. I just think you cannot undo. You can't just go back to the status quo just because you think you need to.
Agreed. And it gets into my RoboCop thing. You don't want to see progress receded in a sequel. Even if you want to get back to the neutral position of what worked in the first one, it's a bummer to the audience to see you take steps back.
So here are some questions.
Great. Question time, baby.
Ben Walker asks,
okay,
is Ben Hosley...
The great Ben Walker, asking about the great Ben Hosley, pointing to Ben.
Who we haven't really introduced.
Oh, you mean producer Ben? The Ben Deucer, the poet laureate, the Haas, the tiebreaker, birthday Benny, soaking wet Benny, white hot Benny.
I like soaking wet Benny.
The fuckmaster, not Professor Crispy, the fart detective, the meat lover, Mr. Positive, Mr. Positive, the Haas, the guy you would wish a hello fennel.
Yeah.
Graduate to certain titles over the course of different miniseries, such as Kylo Ben, Producer Ben Kenobi, Ben Night Shyamalan, Ben Sate, Say Bennything, Ailey Benz with the $, Warhaz, Purdue Bane, and B-19 the Fennel Maker.
That's right.
Yes.
So is Ben Hosley still a close personal friend of noted Cordwainer? Cordwainer? I don't know. That's the word he uses.
Okay.
Yeah.
Dan Lewis.
I am so happy that I forgot to include that one in the nickname list because I set it up pretty well.
Close personal friend of Dan Lewis.
I am. Yeah. Dan and I are really close.
A Cordwainer is a shoemaker who makes shoes from new leather. So there you
wow,
go.
Well, good word, Paul.
Yeah.
Does Dan Lewis have any Phantom Thread gossip with this upcoming movie?
Yeah, so Dan and I text pretty regularly.
Okay.
Gossip wise, I mean,
because he's retiring from acting.
You said
he
you
hasn't
had
really announced what
exclusive
he's doing
coming.
next.
Yeah, no, I do have exclusive. Okay, so I just want to say this. The shooting process was a nightmare because they didn't do it on a soundstage. They did it actually in like this old like house.
Yeah.
And it was like really tight quarters and like they were sleeping on top of each other. He said
It's
it was
like
a
film.
nightmare.
Yeah.
It's just not fun. Yeah,
Sure.
Not a good experience.
And let's be honest, like Dan's sort of doing it for fun. You know, he's not someone who really wants to put it all on the line for his work. So when there's this lack of luxury,
I want to remind you
like,
guys that we have a lot of questions we want to answer.
Okay, well, all right. You're right.
You're
Dan's
right. Let's go. All questions, no bits. No bits.
No bits. Dan is quitting acting.
Right.
Okay? And he's actually going to start podcasting.
What? You're going to produce the new
Dan
Lewis podcast?
and I have been kind of like working on like different concepts. I'm going to be sort of like on mic producing his podcast.
Okay.
And I thought, I don't know if this is cool because I know we have so much stuff going on.
Do you have a clip of the podcast?
I do.
Oh my God, Dave, we got to listen to a little bit of the Dan Lewis podcast.
Just a little
no
bit.
bits, but we got to listen to a little bit of the Dan Lewis podcast.
Okay.
Hello, this is Ira Glass, This American Life. This week on the show, stories of second chances.
Dan, no, we can't. This is someone else's show.
Well, I've already spent 18 months researching Ira Glass. I'm deep in character. I can't pivot like this. I commit hard to things. No bits, press mets. Wait.
Okay, so yeah, we're back.
Ben,
Wow.
so
he's both no bits pro Smiths.
Yeah.
Which, good for him.
Yeah. And he's
a
going
fan of the
deep on
show.
Glass. Yeah.
He's so deep on Glass that he can't get out.
Ben, that's the first 30 seconds of the first episode. Where's the podcast go from there? You immediately shut him down.
Oh, he does like 5 different stories. He's all of the contributors to the episodes.
Wow. That guy's a good actor.
Yeah.
Okay, no bits. Next question.
Sorry. My friend in Britain just sent the news that his baby was born.
How do you have friends in Britain?
Very good question. I was waiting all day for this news. I'm very happy for him.
Congratulations.
Shout out to
Okay.
Ollie. Shout out to his daughter.
Well, you just had a baby as well, so, even Stevens.
God. And it's staring at me with its felt dead eyes.
Next question.
All right. So next question. How about this from Santa Got That Jingle Jangle, a.k.a. Tyrone Warner. This is on Twitter. What would you consider the best and the worst episode of the show? Hashtag Blankies, hashtag Twisted, hashtag waiting for that Richard Kelly series. Keep waiting. Maybe we'll do someday. I'd love him to make a fourth movie, you know?
Yeah.
Like, because even by our standards, like a 3-episode miniseries.
The shortest career we've ever talked about doing was 4.
And like Richard Kelly's career, it's like he made this cult movie that was a hit. Then he made this completely bonkers blank check movie that was a flop. And then he made this other kind of bonkers blank check, but like no money movie that was a flop that Cameron Diaz famously gave the twist ending away to at Comic-Con.
Yeah.
Like that was that, you know, sort of excised from Hollywood.
There are some people who listeners suggest we cover where it's like, this kind of isn't the right time to cover them because we're at the middle of the story. The narrative isn't really interesting enough right now because it's about what they do next. Richard Kelly, we could do at some point. Well, maybe if he comes back out of retirement. What was the original question?
He's working on it. I mean, I've heard. So.
I don't love his movies, but I think he's interesting. That's an interesting guy to have out in the world making movies, even if I'm not a huge fan of those movies, you know? He's mixing it up. He's catfishing us.
Yeah. Agreed.
Was that the first part of the question?
No, so the question is, what's the best and worst episodes of the show?
You know what I go back to?
More of like a fave, least fave, obviously.
When I have to recommend episodes to people, and the one I actually re-listen to the most and get the most enjoyment out of, I think is Judging the Judge.
That's interesting.
And part of it is it's the Rosetta Stone because it was the episode that sort of started what the podcast would eventually turn into. Because we were still in the middle of the Star Wars days, but that was our first time covering like a movie, an episode, and talking about the career, you know, trajectory in relation to the film. And I just think that episode has really fucking good bits on it.
I mean, that's interesting. I mean, it does.
Yeah.
I mean, it's got some good bits.
Yeah. And the theme song, I still think is my proudest moment.
I mean,
ever.
The theme song was amazing. But like, I also feel like that's sort of that's sort of where we first figured out what the show would be. Yeah.
So maybe I'm sentimental about it.
There's sentimental, but I do think we've like done great episodes since then.
Well, don't pat yourself on the back.
My personal favorite episode is the Matrix episode.
Unsurprising.
I listen back to it all the time. I listen back to all our episodes like plenty of times.
I know
that's our person. But what is your least favorite?
Amistad.
Just because it's just
I think we just didn't know what
but I think we do a bunch of Hopkins with a watering can material that's okay in the middle.
Yeah. There was also
Amistad's, you know what actually is my least favorite episode? No, you finish though.
There was a bit I did in the Amistad episode that was so bad, Ben, you cut it out for my protection.
Yes.
Do you remember that?
I do.
No, I remember that very clearly. I literally was like, no, actually stop. And Ben cut that out. Like
and
we were like,
double down. I did it like
that.
3 times,
right? Because you kept thinking, I think like, oh, well, we're doing
the
a
bit
classic
is you telling
thing,
me not to do the bit.
But I was actually like, Griffin, this actually just won't fly.
And here's that clip.
Yeah. Also, now saying that will make people imagine a much worse bit than what I actually did.
Well, it wasn't great.
It wasn't great, but if you imagine the worst thing I could have said in an Amistad episode, it's probably much worse than what I actually said.
But here's my least favorite episode is, and I just saw it scrolling by, is the Podcastic 2. Which is, I feel like when we had not, like, it was like, it's our sequel to Judging the Judge, because it was our second, like, non-Star Wars episode.
It was a sophomore slump.
But it really is, like, everything we shouldn't do, which is, like, way too much explaining, like, we're trying to tackle too many movies, which is, like, a bad idea. We never should have done that. Yeah. And, like, just kind of, like, a lot of yelling about comic book shit. Like, it's just, like, what I, like, quickly was like, nah, this isn't our thing.
The most you want to cover in one episode is 3 Hotel Transylvania movies, and no more than that. That's the most.
All right. So that was, those are good answers, right?
Yeah.
This is actually, we should talk about this. All right. This is also on Twitter. Andy Garmuga. Okay. I'm going to get to the emails. Don't worry.
Cool.
He'd love to hear our official responses to the J.J. Abrams news, because we did have our Trevorrow pod where we were speculating, like, oh, Rian Johnson.
Right, that he would sign on to Direct 9. We even said in that episode, JJ has already kind of said he doesn't want to do it. But that's the old JJ fast one, because they offered him Force Awakens early, and he said, nope, I would never direct a Star Wars movie. Then he signed on.
Right.
When Trevorrow was ousted, he was like, I don't think I want to go back to Star Wars, and then he signed on. It now sort of makes more sense, because I think the Rian Johnson trilogy thing was brewing, that he wouldn't want to do 9. You know, because he was setting up this trilogy that's since been announced that's going to be its own independent.
And also, my guess is, this fucking making one of these things is such a slog.
Right.
That I think it just would have been too demanding, or maybe he just didn't have the idea to do it back to back. So, or maybe Disney was like, would you like to? I wonder who I mean, I'm sure Ryan had some kind of a pitch of like.
I also heard whispers that JJ had some FOMO about not doing 8.
Well, I mean, he was sort of upfront about like, I felt like with 7 we needed to ease people back in, and that's why I feel like I was a little more slavish to the original. I mean, I read Ryan's script for 8, and I was like, this is great. I would love to do something like this.
And also that 7 was very well received, and I think some of his nerves about how high stakes poker you're playing by making a new Star Wars
movie. People rag on
movie.
him, but he had an incredibly difficult task with episode 7, complicated by the fact that movie had all kinds of production troubles that were not his fault, that were just... Right. And he, I think he did a great job. I think that movie is wonderful. Now,
that having been said, J.J. Abrams is notoriously better at starting stuff than continuing or concluding things.
Right.
So, minor bit of trepidation there. That's always where he started to stumble. His initial world building, his laying out of the characters,
I know what you're saying.
All that stuff's always good with him.
I know what you're saying. You know what? I agree with you, but it's just like, to me, it's like the upgrade from Trevorrow to Abrams is so phenomenal that I can't even think what if Brad Bird,
there's
blah,
a great
blah, blah,
sense
whatever,
of relief. But I'll say this, a lot of the modern directors, kind of young up and coming guys who are getting pulled into the studio system, when people ask us if we do blank checks on them, it's like, we've talked about this, blank check doesn't really exist in the same way anymore, because it's like, if you have a decent movie, you get a big blockbuster, but it's so managed.
Now the blank checks that we're identifying is more like, the studio gave you a ton of money and to make a brand movie, not a Brandy movie.
Right.
Because we're not yet at The Boy's Mine cinematic universe. But and then you do something weird.
But the difference between like Cuarón doing Azkaban and then getting to make Children of Men and Gravity versus like David Yates doing 4 Harry Potter movies and then getting to make Tarzan and Fantastic Beasts. It's like he's just staying within the tentpole kind of journeyman thing.
Yeah.
But the Rian Johnson news is really fascinating because that feels like as much of a blank check as anyone has gotten within these types of rigid cinematic universes so far. Right. Who knows what those films will end up being, but if they're allowed to, out of whole cloth, create a new trilogy, that's really exciting. Next question.
So thank you, Andy. He also wants to know how we think WB will panic after Justice League. And we talk about, we'll just briefly mention we were way off on our Justice League box office predictions. Not just about Justice League, but I think I said the Star was going to Delgo it up. Star did fine.
We thought Star was going to make like 2, it did 9.
It made like 10 and it got an A+ cinema score.
We thought Wonder was going to do 12, it did 28.
Wonder, I believe, has made $4 billion at time of recording.
My man Tremblay.
Tremblay has been crowned King of America. It's fucking nuts.
It's nuts. Wonder's going to make like 200 million domestic.
It's partly, I think, also, we are really underrating Julia.
Yeah.
People are ready for her again.
Yeah, although it's weird because she had a couple, even Wonder's going to greatly outgrow Eat, Pray, Love, which was her sort of comeback movie after being gone for like 5 years. And the ones since then haven't burnt up the box office. I think it's the right time. I think it's the right role for her. I think there's a generational thing to like girls who grew up with Julia now being mothers and being able to take their kids to see a Julia Roberts movie and all that sort of stuff. Nothing but respect for my man Tremblay.
Anyway, and as to WB and Justice League, I really just don't know. They're panicking, but what they need to do is not panic and just
make good movies.
Be like, look, we've got Aquaman coming. Hopefully that'll be okay. But more importantly, we have Wonder Woman 2 coming. That's in like production.
Yeah.
And like making good movies is way more important than anything else here.
Look, here's my advice to Warner Brothers. They got like 20 things they've announced at one point or another they're working on in the EDMECUOMDC
fuck off. All right,
whatever,
okay.
Right?
Next question.
What I'm saying is they should look at those 20 scripts and whatever script is best, they should make that movie. They should make movies that have good scripts.
Okay. Ryan
question.
Rosendahl asks, has any of the miniseries changed your opinion of a director? I feel like we all pretty much like these directors going in.
Yes.
Shyamalan a little bit. I had really written him off as a joke when we started doing him.
Yes.
And, even though I still don't like a lot of his movies, I was like, no, I forgot. Like, I forgot this guy is like for real.
Right.
It's just that he made a lot of weird decisions.
Individual movies certainly have changed my mind on, But,
yeah.
I don't know whole cloth,
Yeah.
Maybe someday. That'd be nice. I'd love to completely change my opinion on a director, although it'd be a bummer if it was realizing a director sucked, who I thought I loved.
Right, but it hasn't happened yet. I think
yet.
I'm still basically, apart from that,
Yeah. Like the second half of the Cameron Crowe series is a bummer, but I rewatched Jerry Maguire with the family over Thanksgiving. God, does that movie work?
Perfect movie.
Ambassador Kwan.
As you know, I like that movie.
Yeah.
Ambassador Kwan. My Dear Wormwood at My Dear Wormwood.
Okay.
Tobit asks for your, I'm going to provide mine, but your definitive Muppet movie ranking. Here's his, which I wildly disagree with.
Okay.
Or maybe it's backwards. Well,
I saw this ranking. I think he's going in descending order from best to worst.
Well, then his from best to worst is The Muppets.
Muppets
from Space, Muppets Christmas Carol, Great Muppet Caper, Muppets Take Manhattan, Muppet Treasure Island, Muppets Most Wanted, The Muppet Movie. The Muppet Movie is at the bottom.
Then maybe it has to be ascending. Also, I mean, Muppets from Space is at the bottom of everyone's list. Any honorable American, it's a bad movie.
Yeah.
So then maybe it is ascending.
But what's yours?
My order, I'll say it shifts a lot, and it shifted even recently. Okay? I oscillate between The Muppet Movie and Muppets Take Manhattan being number one. I'd say as of right now, I probably put The Muppet Movie number one. I put Muppets Take Manhattan number two. I put Muppet Christmas Carol number three. My most controversial opinion is I like Caper less than most hardcore Muppet fans. Then I would put, I think at the present moment, I maybe put Muppets Most Wanted a hair before The Muppets.
Sure.
I think
because Muppets Most Wanted is more of like a Muppet movie.
And it's
rather than like a Jason Segel
it was less
movie.
well received because people were more into or had gotten accustomed to the Jason Segel format, and Muppets Most Wanted is like a pure outright Muppet movie. It has some really good fucking songs in it too. And Constantine's a great character. So I would do that. Then I would put Great Muppet Caper. Then I would put Muppet Treasure Island. And then I would put dead last Muppets from Space.
So mine would be number one Muppet movie. I think. I just think that that's a special movie.
I agree.
Then number two, Muppets Christmas Carol, which is very important in my childhood.
And you know what doesn't get enough
very, very
credit?
Good,
really well directed.
Very beautifully directed. Actually looks amazing.
Brian Henson, doesn't have a lot of the sort of creativity and vision of his father, but as a technical director, he is a better filmmaker.
It's an atmospheric movie, like genuinely. Yeah. And Michael Caine's pretty darn good.
The sets are so fucking good
the
in that film. It's beautifully
terrific.
shot.
I also
and Kane rules,
I just love the bit with Gonzo playing Dickens. I just think that's funny.
I do too.
To this day. And then I guess
the songs are great in that movie.
Then I guess I would go like Take Manhattan, Caper, like 3, 4. I like both of those. I haven't watched either of them since I was a kid.
Rewatch Take Manhattan, rules.
Yeah, no, I think that's my 3, then 4, and then I guess I'll put the Segel 1/5 and Most Wanted 6. Those ones are sort of just whatever to me.
And then
I'm a grown up. And then
get out of here.
I just am. I'm sorry about that stuff. I'm not even trying to be a dick. It's like and then Treasure Island in Space. They're at the bottom.
Treasure Island's fun.
It's fun. All those movies except for Space are basically good.
It sucks.
Space is rough.
Yeah.
I saw that in theaters.
I'll say this, Filmstruck currently, they recently put up a collection of like Jim Henson short films, like his experimental live action short films and animated short films he made when he was young, pre-Muppets.
Yeah. Okay.
And also some of his later TV specials, which makes me think that they're maybe putting together Criterion non-Muppet works of Jim Henson box set, which I would love.
Yeah.
But I rewatched those the other night. What a good guy that was. What an interesting artist that guy was. To be working in such a mainstream populous space. Man, I like that guy.
Alejandro Villarreal, old fan.
The great Alejandro Villarreal.
Asks, what's your favorite performance of 2017? That's question 1.
Okay. I got to consult my list, so give me question 2 as well at the same time.
What is the performance with the most ham with a dash of paprika?
From 2017?
Yeah.
Most performance.
My favorite 2017 performance is Willem Dafoe. That's my performance of the year.
Mm-hmm.
That's the performance that clicked with me. And there's a lot of performances I love this year, like a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll talk about that more on the Blankies episode next year.
Mm-hmm.
But that I think that performance is like astonishing.
I'm gonna throw a crazy one out there.
Sure.
And it's crazy because it's a movie I don't really love. I certainly love it less than other people, but it's kind of the performance I keep on coming back to. I think Patrick Stewart's pretty fucking phenomenal in Logan.
That's a great performance.
That performance kind of floored me.
Top 10 of the year, but it's like amazing.
Yeah, I see. I think it's like upper echelons. I think that's one of the best.
But, all right. But have you considered something?
What?
I don't even know if I should say this. And I just noticed that Ben is Googling Assassin's Creed IMDb page, which is a wonderful thing that he just did.
Say it.
Logan is kind of a secret Western. I know.
David, you can't say that on mic because the Star Whackers might come after us. The Illuminati might come after us. Yeah, it is. Yes. Secretly. On the DL, Logan's a Western. I'm not crazy about that film.
Me neither. I think it's pretty good.
Yeah.
I actually think it's great, except for the R-rated stuff.
Interesting.
I think and like I don't mind that it's rated R per se, but it's like I think like anytime it's sort of it's a little extra about like the violence and the stuff,
right?
Especially the sort of barn, the house sequence in the middle of the movie. I'm just like it kind of takes me out of it, and it becomes like just sort of a little. It just seems like it's trying too hard, and like I like the world that it has going, like the weird sort of like crappy future. And I love the like weird things like those self-driving trucks and like, like this whole world that's just sort of like automated but like in a kind of lame and boring way.
I just think that movie should be an hour shorter.
It's a bit too long.
Because it feels like it has no narrative propulsion because a lot of that movie is Logan refusing the call. It's her asking him to take her to this place where the kids are and him going, it doesn't exist, shut up, shut up. And then some people chase them and they go a little further, but he still doesn't want to take her there.
Yeah.
And you compare that to Children of Men, which is a movie it's very similar to.
Yeah.
Where even though Clive Owen's character doesn't believe that this ship exists, he keeps moving forward, trying to take her there because that's his job, you know? And Logan, I think, kind of just spins its own wheels for a large section of it. But the Patrick Stewart performance is one of the most heartbreaking sort of dementia performances I've ever seen because I think he balances the lucidity with the sort of absence really, really well, which makes it very heartbreaking when he has these moments where he's right there and then you see it slip in his eyes. I just walked out of that movie and I was like, God, right, that guy's such a good fucking actor. Yeah.
I kind of want to... All right, well, what's the hammiest performance of the year? And to me, that means good.
Yeah.
Ham with a dash of paprika means good. So I'm going to speak up for... I mean, an obvious answer to this, and you probably haven't seen this movie yet, is Oldman in Darkest Hour, which is like absurd.
Right.
But like the secret...
He's chewing ham on that, sure.
Yes, but actually the secret of that performance is the shit he nails is the quiet stuff. That's why that performance is actually good rather than just like typical thundering. You know? To me, the best Ham... paprika performance of the year is Jake Gyllenhaal in Stronger, which is this very sort of like big and kind of a little obvious and like a type we've seen before, the like Boston, schmuck who's like, but is like still like really good and authentic. But like at times you're like, okay, Jake, we get it. You got the accent.
I'll say my favorite, I think, is Robert Pattinson in Good Time.
I think that's a wonderful performance.
But that's a very big performance. He's taken huge swings.
That's such a good
The entire movie, he's full tilt, but I think it always feels like a real fucking guy.
I like that movie a lot.
Yeah, I do too.
I love that.
Yeah, that's an incredible performance. I'm going to throw a hot take. Performance, I think, could have used a little more ham.
Yeah.
Too much paprika. I want a little more ham on it.
Yeah.
Elizabeth Banks and Power Rangers. I was sitting there the whole time going, Liz, you can go bigger.
She could have gone bigger.
She's big in that movie, but
she's big.
She could go huge, and it would work. The movie could support that.
Whereas I think Cranston is actually kind of in the pocket there.
Well, he wins my best supporting actor.
He's so good. Well, you know what he is awful in? His last fight.
I've heard that.
That is a stinky performance. We'll get to that later. All right.
Okay.
I'm Laugh Alone asks, have I ever been recognized in public? He's asking Ben and I because obviously you get recognized in public. And if yes, because of the pod, and if yes, how did it feel? Yes, and it's very strange. Almost always, though, it's at Toronto, I got recognized a bunch. And if I go to rep screenings once in a while, because that's where the movie nerds are. It's very weird. Ben, you've gotten some shout outs, right?
Yeah.
You've gotten some Hello Fennels.
I've gotten definitely some Hello Fennels at comedy shows. And then I feel like all of your film friends.
Sure.
Right. Of course. They're like, Producer Ben.
And they're like, always, they're always
Yeah.
like enthusiastic in a way where I'm very honored, and yeah, it's nice.
I'll say this. I've maybe gotten like physically recognized more for the podcast than the Tick.
Really?
I get stopped a lot for podcast things. Or even like there was the time I think I told you I went to the Ocean's 8 rap party where I didn't know anybody. I brought Romilly because I have my 2 lines in Ocean's 8 that are going to get cut out when it comes out 18 months from now.
And
I like didn't know anyone there. Like none of the crew people came up and talked to me. The like 2 people who came up and talked to me were like, "Hey, you're Griffin Newman from Blank Check, right?"
Wow. It's
in a
always
room
great.
with like Sandra Bullock and Anne Hathaway. They were like, "You're the Blank Check guy, right?"
Yeah.
And I got stopped a lot of Comic-Con like for Blank Check shit.
It's always very sweet, and I think it's great.
Keep doing what you're doing, baby.
Interesting. What are your pet peeves while watching a movie? Asks the Mon Gang.
I mean, cell phones on is a nightmare for me. If I see someone with a cell phone screen, I can't stop looking at it. I have to move seats. When
I get upset on two levels where it's like, one, I'm mad that they're doing it, and two, I'm also just mad that it's distracting me.
It's like a physiological response. Your eyes go towards a light in a dark room, so you can't ignore it. And I also hate the statement they're making by like, you just paid fucking $15, just slapped it down on the barrel, and now you're sitting here and immediately taking your phone out and playing.
All right,
like
so we have
League
a
of
classic
Champions.
pet peeve.
What else do I hate? I don't. That's like the.
Yeah, honestly, I'm fine. I mean, I like an aisle. I know you like the middle. That's not really a pet peeve. That's more just a preference.
They call me Patricia Heaton because you can find me in the middle.
Yeah.
I don't like it when you can hear the train.
Sure, the Angelica.
Yeah, that kind of takes me out a little bit.
I'm going to throw one out, which might be surprising just because I think most people don't care, but it actually annoys me. When people leave the theater before the movie ends.
Yeah, that drives me crazy. Unless, I mean, look, if we're in the credits, fine, you can leave.
But when people are like, oh, the film seems to be wrapping up, let me leave.
No, this isn't a baseball stadium.
No.
All right. Stephen Hofford asks, have you tried poutine? And if so, yes or no?
Yeah, I fucking love it. I spend a lot of time in Toronto.
Right, because you go to Toronto every year.
At least once a year, if not twice. I have good friends who live there. And I'm all about poutine. And I'll get it anywhere I can get it. I mean, because like, in Canada, they got like poutine at like Burger King or whatever. So if I'm at like a nice place with my friends, I'll get poutine. But if it's like 3 o'clock in the morning, Burger King's open, I'll get some Burger King poutine.
Burger King poutine.
I'm all about poutine.
Burger King poutine. Well, I had never had poutine until I went to Toronto this year for the festival.
Humble brag.
And like one day I was like, well, shit, I gotta do it. Gotta get the poop. And I did it. I was FaceTiming with Joanna because we were, chatting because I was away.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and I was just sitting there like shoveling. It's good. I mean, obviously, it's like French fries with gravy and curds.
Yeah, it's the 3 best.
Nice.
Yeah.
But the whole time I was like, man, I'm gonna poop everywhere after this, right? You know? And I didn't.
It's actually
so shout out to that poutine.
It's got some structural integrity to it.
That was fine.
Can I read a couple here? Just speed round a couple.
Okay, you're curating now.
I got 3 here that I saw because they were responses to me retweeting the thing, so they're not going to show up in your thing. James Ward, the great James Ward. Opinions on Rotten Tomatoes becoming the go-to metric for film's quality. I think we both got the same take on this, so I want to get it out here quickly.
Fine.
Because I feel like I'm
sure I agree. Just say it.
Offhandedly slammed it, and people want to know why.
Okay.
The problem is that Rotten Tomatoes only tells you how many people think a movie is
watchable.
Is
fine.
Okay.
A decent
at best.
Time. Yes.
So you could get a film that has 100% on Rotten Tomatoes where everyone goes, it's a 6 out of 10.
Here's how it goes for me. Well, yes, exactly.
Metacritic's a much better system because it's an average based off of giving everyone's review a score from 1 to 100.
So I belong to Rotten Tomatoes and Metacritic.
Yeah.
And I submit my reviews, which is, I think, what they prefer.
Yeah.
Rather than them picking it. So with Rotten Tomatoes, I will enter my review and say if it was fresh or rotten.
Right.
Usually an easy distinction.
Yeah.
With Metacritic, they ask me, and I like to, tell them the number.
Sure.
Like, give them a number rating. This is kind of a 75.
Yeah.
And Metacritic's a lot better system for that reason. They also are, they're very picky about who they include. Not that Rotten Tomatoes you shouldn't be more broad. It's fine.
But that's the thing. Like, Rotten Tomatoes is just giving you a consensus. And something like Lady Bird, which now is the best reviewed movie in the history of Rotten Tomatoes, which I think is a phenomenal film.
Yeah, but what's more important is it has a 94 on Metacritic. That's crazy.
Yeah, that's nuts.
Anyway.
But it speaks to the fact that, like, that's a movie that's hard to dislike.
I agree.
Whereas most great movies are divisive. That's our takedown. Okay, speed round 2 more. If you could pick one company to make a Griffin Arthur toy, what would it be?
That's your question.
Hence why I'm reading it right now. I don't want to slam anything because there's still the companies that are maybe producing things, although there seem to be some speed bumps in getting Arthur merchandise out there. There's a company called Super 7 I really like that does like weird retro stuff.
Yeah.
So they have a line called Reaction Figures where they make modern day toys that look like the old 70s Star Wars figures with the kind of crude, rigid
so that's what you
sculpting.
want.
I would like that.
You're
that's
a big
my
nerd. What's your other one?
Big old nerd. When will you be covering Martin Brest, PTA, and most importantly, Frank Oz? So I'm using this as a catch-all for all the questions that are just, when are you covering this person?
Yeah. Which we get a lot.
We get a lot.
Which is fine. I mean, obviously it's the format of our show.
Right.
So it's fine.
And I'll tip a hat and say, we're working on something that I think fans will find very exciting.
Right. Regarding all of this.
The collection of all the people who get brought up a lot in our conversations.
We have a lot of people in sort of planned for next year.
We have all but one miniseries locked down pretty much at this point.
Yes.
And what we're going to do with that one open spot, I think fans will find exciting, and we'll talk about that
later
soon.
in the year. Yeah. I mean, later in 2018.
Yes.
Here's a question from King Guthrum that
the great King Guthrum
that I have been asked a few times.
Okay,
including by the great David Ehrlich, past and future guest.
Mm-hmm.
What the heck does sweaty mean in context of a film/story? I thought this was obvious.
Me too.
I once tried to use it in an article, and my great and wonderful editor, Lenica McCruz, one of my good friends, was just like, no, what is that word? Fuck, no, you're not using that. And I was like, right, this is just our word. Like,
well, it's weird. I always used it, and my friend Spike, who I've talked about before, who was my roommate when I dropped out of college when I was 19, we used sweaty all the time. I don't remember which one of us brought it to the other, but we would, anytime we use sweaty to describe something, we'd crack up laughing. The idea is a visible amount of effort. You're seeing sweat.
You're seeing the movie Sweat. It's just like in Total Recall where he sees the bead of sweat go down his face.
Right. The thing's getting
and it's
sweaty.
Like he knows something's up.
It's not operating smoothly. Even if you make it through, it's not without visible effort.
Seth Finkelstein asks, is Don Bluth the only blank check animator in the modern day? No. All right.
Yeah, that's true. And also modern day, I mean, his days have passed. He's doing crowdfunding campaigns to start a Dragon Slayer.
It'd be cool to do Bluth. But that 90s run is rough.
Right. But that was a weird run he had where he had a blank check because Spielberg gave it to him because they wanted to try to take down Disney.
Larry Lazard asks, Super Mario Brothers, great movie or the greatest movie? I've seen that Low Key Gentleman's 3 stars. David gave it on Letterboxd. I love Super Mario Brothers. I've seen that movie so many times.
That's a weird movie that my brother and I watched a lot.
It's not. I know it's not good, but it's so fucking weird. And I think I'm going to be on Masterpiece next year to talk about it. So
really, well, not part of the 5 Timers Club yet.
I got one here from Facebook. Josh Batty asks, what's your favorite movie you think deserves a remake? For example, it was a genius idea, but was just terribly executed. Or you could even do this question. What's your favorite movie that deserves/needs a sequel that never got one?
Okay, I got a really good answer for this. I always thought that The Last Starfighter was the most remakeable movie because it's a phenomenal premise for a film that was executed okay. A subject that's only more relevant now and omnipresent in terms of like the culture's relationship to video games, and was also hobbled by limited budget and special effects, right? There was a period of time where I would, when you're in Hollywood, do the rounds, do these general meetings.
Yep.
I had a general meeting at Universal, and I told them that I thought you could do a really good Last Starfighter remake and pitch it on them, and they were like, could you try to write this thing for us? And I was, for a period of time, writing sort of treatment stuff for a Last Starfighter remake. It never got very far. I was never being paid money. But I had a take on it that I thought was really good. And it turned out that the rights on that thing are like a fucking like boondoggle. They're split between companies that went out of business. They're separated. And the screenwriter still retains the approval rights for anything. And he doesn't want to let anyone remake it because he thinks he's going to make a sequel with the original cast, which will never happen.
Never, ever happen.
But here's the reason I'm bringing this up.
Why?
Both Seth Rogen and Steven Spielberg actively wanted to remake The Last Starfighter. I think Rogen's pitch was a little similar to mine. Neither of them could get the rights. Spielberg said, give up on it. It's not possible. That's one of the reasons that Spielberg did Ready Player One, because it had the elements of what he wanted to do in Last Starfighter. And that's the new Rogen show, Future Man, is similarly him trying to get out his stuff.
Right.
That's the movie I think would be most remakeable. Sky High 2 is the sequel I want to see most. It's too late now because the kids grew up. Though maybe you could do a next generation kind of thing. First Sky High rules. I'm going to be talking about that on Masterpiece. This is the episode where we're talking about Masterpiece.
Remake Fletch.
Okay, fine.
With you.
No, don't.
Yeah, with me in it.
No, but Ben's going to be in it.
Okay, fine. He's in it.
I'll have the steak sandwich and a steak sandwich.
He's so funny, David. He's our funny little boy.
I'm going to switch over to the emails.
Do you not have answers?
No.
Okay, cool.
David is...
That's like too complicated a question. I would have to like think about that for a while.
I think there were some good scoops in my answers.
No, I think your answers were good. You had answers.
I was briefly
think about that.
writing a treatment for The Last Starfighter. That was never shown to higher ups.
I mean, I'm into it.
Yeah.
Joe.
The other one is I obviously my dream project is I want to remake Midnight Run with me and Gal Gadot.
Okay, it sounds great. You know who's cute though is Kumail and Gal Gadot. They've now done like 2 separate things together for award season, and they've become this kind of like fun couple.
Okay, that's cute. But let me and her make a buddy comedy together. Okay. I want dibs on
Andrew Madigan asks, what do you think of Coco and how does it rank in the Pixar Pantheon?
Already talked about it.
I'm hoping to see it after this podcast.
Yeah, we talked about it on this episode.
I mean, because I can get there late, right? Because I don't want to see this fucking garbage.
The fucking Olaf thing. The movie will start 35 minutes after advertised showtime at the earliest.
All right.
I loved it. I think I can't rank it yet because I've only seen it once. And I've seen every other Pixar movie too many times other than the ones that I hate. But right now, I think Pixar is, I think Coco rather is in the top 40% of my Pixar rankings.
All right. Well, so here's.
I think it's maybe about 8 or 9 on my list.
Here's Kate Foyo.
I think it's Fuego.
Foyo. How do you know her?
I was corrected once for saying her name incorrect.
I'm sorry, Foyo.
I think it's Fuego.
Oh, well, there's no G. Well, whatever.
Okay.
Kate Foyo.
Okay. I
just asked.
think we're walking into
what's your favorite park?
Okay.
Like,
Central Park?
Theme park. Well, sure.
Yeah.
No, I think she means theme park.
I'm weirdly partial to the Universal Studios in Hollywood, which is very small, a manageable size. And whenever I go out to LA for work stuff, I go there by myself. And if you are a single rider at a theme park, you don't have to wait online because any family that has an odd number of people, they throw you on there. So I can go on like every ride within 2 hours, except I just have to sit creepily next to a family. But I did that once when I was screen testing for Mulaney. They flew me out, and because it was NBC, they had me stay at the Universal Hotel there next to the theme park. And my screen test was at noon, and I went to Universal. I woke up at 9 a.m., went on every single ride, and was back in my hotel room in time to screen test and fucking book the gig, and then get fired.
Right. What's your favorite ride?
I mean, now it honestly might be the Avatar ride. It was previously, I'd say, Haunted Mansion.
Well, she wants to know how long did you wait, and I think you answered that already.
First time, I think about an hour and change. Second time, about 15 minutes.
She says you're disowned. You have to wait at least 2 hours, according to her.
Okay.
And are you one of those heathens that prefers Universal? Doesn't seem like you are.
Well, I said I like the... Yeah. I understand objectively. People... Disney fans hate Universal. I like Universal a lot. But I understand the craft is better at Disney. Universal has more properties that I'm into right now. Maybe. I don't know. Disney has Pixar. Who knows? Next question.
Okay. Mailbag Q for Ben. This is from Nathan W.
The great Nathan W.
You've worked on
Nathan Swagner.
Maybe, yeah. You've worked on a lot of podcasts as a producer.
True.
What is it about Blank Check that gives it a special place in your heart?
I think it's the 2-hour run times.
Yeah, cool.
That's what I really love. No,
Ben wants to kill himself.
What are we at? 4:15 now for this app?
Yeah, at least. I remember when you guys pitched this show, and
legendary pitch.
It was ridiculous, but I had worked with Griffin previously. We've talked about the other show as like a Gethard, like a kind of recap show.
Yeah, Gethard show.
And so what I really recognized in you guys was that you were passionate about what you were talking about. You really, really knew the ins and outs to a level where, having done this now for over 2 years with you guys, like, I've learned shit about the industry.
Well, this is an educational podcast first and foremost.
I mean, legit, like, you guys know, like, feedback all the time, people even reading these emails, that because we're not going to be able to get to all of them, but you guys really know this world and love this world and have a passion for the world of Pandora.
Walt Disney World.
So, yeah, I just... I've really enjoyed working on this project with you guys.
Oh, come on.
We love you, Ben.
Get out of here. We love you,
You're
Ben.
really the reason this keeps going, I would say.
Yeah.
At least, especially at the beginning, I would say.
Can you imagine us having to upload this podcast on a weekly basis?
fucking
That
Christ.
alone, not even the recording.
I remember when we were
scheduling.
first pitching it, you were like, I'm down, but you really should find someone for us to like help us with everything because I can't do this myself.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, because I was like doing this like DIY podcast with Sony, where I was like, oh, it's not that hard.
But you didn't do that many episodes. You weren't on a regular basis. You're pretty.
I know. I'm making fun of myself. I'm just like, what the fuck? I never would have been. Anyway.
Right. Yeah.
All right.
I knew we needed Ben.
William Taylor's got a few questions for us.
Okay. Speed round.
The great William Taylor.
Speed round.
One, would a theoretical Steven Soderbergh miniseries do all his movies or start in the 2000s? No, it would. You would have to start at the beginning, but
it's a lot.
I mean, the reason we're not going to do it anytime soon is it's so many movies, and it's like After Sex, Lies, and Videotape. It's like 6 movies that are like really weird. Kafka and the Underneath and King of the Hill, which are like interesting movie, and Schizopolis, which he's a big fan of. And like Schizopolis is an interesting movie, but like fucking hell.
I'd love to do them someday. You know, I think the 2 instances we've done of like limiting a filmography for the sake of a miniseries, there's a clear kind of ellipses point to why that represents a certain era.
And there isn't with him because he's all over the place.
The 2000s, you just go, was his most successful period, but it doesn't feel like there's an instrumental shift in the way he was making movies.
Well, there isn't. I mean, he's getting more studio attention after he makes Out of Sight. It's just weird. Anyway, I'd love to do him. It just would be hard. Well, maybe someday.
Put it on the books. We'll do him 2022.
Maybe someday. Exactly. Number 2. David, you spoke highly of the AV Club commenters in the last mailbag.
I don't remember.
Maybe sarcastically. But do you remember the commenter memes about you there? I still have to fight back the urge to call you capital letters, Sims. Yeah, I do remember.
They ragged on you.
Yeah, I mean, I think there was a lot of love to those days, but
a lot of tough love too.
It was some tough love. I don't like comments. I never read them.
You had to do recaps on Seinfeld and Simpsons, classic Simpsons, which are kind of thankless jobs because people are very impassioned.
The other thing is, though, I actually also recapped a lot of modern shows that were also...
Like Modern Family?
Never did Modern Family. Okay. That also had very passionate fan bases that could be very mean. Specifically, It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia and True Blood.
Sure.
Those are two of my assignments that were really... they could be hard on anyone.
Yeah.
And it was just, I don't read the comments ever on anything.
But there was, just explain, there was this meme of yelling Sims when people were frustrated with your takes.
Yeah, well, yes. That was generated out of Seinfeld, and then it became one of the commenter awards was the Sims Award for like most clueless reviewer or something like that. Anyway, it was all fine, but then my friends caught wind of it, and they would send me every week emails.
Yeah.
Of the comments they thought were the funniest.
And you're like, Tim.
Which is like, I was trying to avoid them. So it weighed on me a little bit.
That's like when people sometimes tweet at me mean things that people wrote about me on the internet. And it's like, maybe I don't want to see this. Maybe I don't like when people insult me.
I genuinely don't like comments and don't read them. And I know a lot of people who...
Especially now with Kinja. Am I right? This fucking Kinja
Very
system.
true. I do actually have a Kinja account.
I don't,
because I had to like migrate my club shit. Anyway, Griffin, what was your experience on the set of Night Moves? Do you and Kelly Reichardt still keep in touch?
We don't keep in touch. I had a great experience on that. I mean, she's one of my favorite living filmmakers.
Great filmmaker. Her last movie was phenomenal.
Agreed. That was the last day of filming the last scene. So it's the end of the movie.
Griffin's in the last scene of Night Moves.
Wait, hold on. You were working on some Night Moves?
I was working on some Night Moves. It was a day shoot, but I was working on some Night Moves. But it was cool because that's the end of the movie, which means that the scene kind of has more weight to it than a lot of one-scene roles that you could get, you know? I've had a lot of people ask me like what that scene was about because a lot of people find that ending kind of inscrutable, but I liked how oblique it was. I originally thought in the script there were two different managers written, and I thought I was playing the one with less lines, and I got to set and found out that they'd combined the two parts, and I suddenly my role was double sized, which was very exciting. And I got to work with Jesse Eisenberg, who's a real mensch.
Yes.
Because
through himself.
Because it was the last day of filming, I got to go to the wrap party, which was that night in Medford, Oregon, and boy, was it a fucking rager. I'll tell you the best anecdote about it. Kelly Reichardt, who has a very specific acting style she wants, in the least specific, least surprising, most specific direction of all time, told me that I talk too fast to be in a Kelly Reichardt movie.
Sure.
So every take, she just kept on telling me to slow down.
Slower, Griffin.
And then there was a part where you overhear me talking about something. The way it's mixed in the final film, you can barely hear it, but it's supposed to be me talking about Charlie Sheen having his meltdown. That's what was written, being like, I don't know why he'd sabotage all of that. You know, he was getting paid good money. And she was like, feel free to improvise and add some more onto that. And I used the term residuals, and she called cut because she was like, this guy would never know the term residuals. Fair. You know too much about show business to play this character.
It's a good story.
Yeah, but great movie. I was really honored to be in it. I don't keep in touch with her, but I had a fucking great time working on them.
All right, Harrison O'Clair. We got a lot of emails, dude. We're not even going to come close to answering all these, to be clear. But
let's speed around like 5 more.
No, I know. I appreciate how many emails we got, and we will try to get back to these. We will try and do these episodes once in a while, like we have.
Well, twice a year, maybe.
Harrison O'Clair asked 3 questions, one of which was, "What's our Men in Black 2 pitch?" So we answered that, but I want to answer his final question. I want to go off this. Why does David love Thor 2 so much? For one, both of us love Thor 2. Maybe I love it more than you.
I don't know about that.
But we both really love it.
I love it. Yeah. It's still the best of the Thor movies.
I agree. It's not as bad as everyone says IMO, but I just got to hear his take. That's why I wanted to bring this up, because we both saw Ragnarok, and I think we're both on the low end of Ragnarok fandom. I thought it was
fun.
Because, it's totally fun. And I think I've sort of nailed why I don't like Ragnarok and why I do like The Dark World in thinking about both movies. Stakes for sure. Ragnarok has no stakes.
No, because when you apply the Taika Waititi thing to it, that clashes with, and his whole style is fun, and the movie is just really entertaining and sort of joyful. But anytime it gets into like the Marvel plotty world building stuff, it's hard to take any of that stuff seriously. And it's like, I'd prefer that movie if they didn't concern him with any of that, and he could have just made an out-and-out comedy. But as it is, when you get to like the final battle in Asgard, I'm just kind of like, well, I can't take any of this seriously.
The final battle is rough.
Yeah.
The villain is pretty rough too, as much as Kate's sort of
going
trying to
for
plus
it. But that stuff feels kind of perfunctory in the movie. It feels like he just has to get that done. Thor 2, I think both you and I like that it's a really good brother movie. I think it's a good brother dynamic movie.
I think it's a great brother movie. You know, obviously the dynamic is in 1 and 3 as well, but it's best in 2.
1 is sort of setting it up.
Right.
I think 3, they make him a little too friendly. They don't totally deal with the weight of how much bad shit Loki's done.
You forget he killed Phil Coulson.
Right.
They've sort of just,
Where I think Dark World gets to this, like, you're always going to be attached to your family, even if you hate them.
I agree. I also just think Dark World is just unashamed of diving into the sort of Lord of the Ringsy kind of vibe of Thor.
I like how much they own that shit.
And like, you know, you literally will have like, you know, like zooming in and then like on screen it's like Vanaheim or whatever.
Isn't
like
the
they
opening
just
line
don't
like
care.
in the beginning there were dark elves,
in the
which
beginning
is just like,
there was
fuck
nothing.
We're going.
And then from nothing came the dark elves, something like that.
I also
think like Hopkins is like dialed up, whereas in Ragnarok he is just silly.
Yes.
And like the scene where Loki as Hopkins is watching the play in Ragnarok,
Loki good.
Is good.
Loki good.
But it's also Ben. It's also the thesis problem, my problem with the movie, which is the whole movie is just like the whole Ragnarok movie is like, man, those Thor movies are fucking dumb.
As I said on Letterboxd,
and Avengers: Age of Ultron is dumb.
The movie feels to me like a Mad Magazine parody of itself.
Right. Which, like, fine. If you want to make in your 20th Marvel movie just a dumb parody of Marvel movies, fine. But like,
it feels like Jaws 3 People Zero.
He's like
Dante,
making fun of the sun's getting real low thing, and like I'm sure people find that funny. But like, it's kind of like, okay, so you had your fun, like, but like,
I agree. Also, I mean,
cares?
Malekith the Accuser, boring villain. We all agree on that.
I like him. I don't agree.
I think Eccleston's fun in it.
He's cool.
But the thing I don't think that film ever gets enough credit for, one of the better final set pieces of any Marvel movie, them fighting through the dimensions and the wormholes rules. Is visually inventive, is exciting. Love it. Funny. Love it. Good movie. Solid fucking movie. Next question.
Oh, we got one here about Vaporwave, my favorite. So
this one's for David?
This is a real question?
Yeah, no, it's from Mindspring Memories.
Okay.
So I'd say check out Death's Dynamic Shroud.
Okay, that's enough of that. Enough of that. Enough of that.
I think like
David,
HKE
next question.
Okay.
Sorry.
Waterfront Dining's good.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Waterfront Dining. What is this, Pandora? The World of Avatar?
There's a bunch of questions asking if we'll do like live shows, especially like a lot of people are asking if we'll do live shows outside of the city. I mean, I hate doing live shows.
You don't like doing it. Yeah.
It's just not my thing.
Yeah.
I would do it again, obviously. Like, you know, but it would have to be kind of like a reason. We've never been able to quite adapt our show to a live show.
There's that idea I had that you like that just requires more planning outside of us. We have to sort of grow as a podcast to be able to do this, but to be able to do like screenings where we do a Q&A with someone afterwards.
Yeah, that would be fun. That would be a lot of fun. But that requires like planning, and Jesus Christ, we're like treading water just putting this thing out.
Right. But if we were able to like host a screening of, say, you know, Strange Days at the Metrograph and then do a Q&A with like Angela Bassett afterwards, that would rule. And if we were to do that, we would release it as a podcast. But there is a lot of planning involved in getting actors to agree to do things with us and getting theaters to agree to let us do screenings that we haven't even begun to tap into. But I think we've all liked that idea. That's probably if we did live shows the way we do it.
I agree with everything you just said. Yeah, I don't know. It's hard. I mean, look.
It's hard.
We have jobs. Like outside of this show, we want to make this show for you guys.
Hard it was for us to not miss an episode over the last year when I started a TV show and had to go to Australia.
If anyone ever wants, if anyone ever wants to write like the history of Blank Check, the Nolan miniseries, that it's good. And it is insane. Good. It arguably is our best miniseries.
Possibly.
I think it's like our at least it's our most consistent,
most listened to, certainly.
And like when you think about what was happening while we were making that, and
idea.
you have no idea what was happening.
You have no idea.
Like you can't even imagine.
I do so much for you people. You don't even know.
He's such an idiot.
You don't even know.
Well, I do a lot too.
Okay, but I never get a chance to talk on this podcast.
Fuck.
You're muffling me at every moment. I'm going to keep on doubling down on this bit.
Oh, God.
I've been silenced on this podcast. It never reflects my interests.
Yeah, I think we're
okay. One last question.
One last question. We've gotten some like really nice questions from people that are just like, you know, I like the show.
Okay, but that's not a question.
Joe Bowen.
Unless it's why do I like this show?
Joe Bowen.
Who did our artwork?
The great Joe Bowen.
The great Joe Bowen.
I have no answer to this question, but I'll try to think of something. Okay. What is the last toy you bought? It's the best thing to end on, really.
Yeah. What's the last one I bought? That's hard because it's some stiff competition. I bought a Rex at Disney World when I was at Disney World.
Like from Toy Story?
Yeah, but it's like a good quality Rex. They never made a fully screen accurate Rex. It's the right size and has the right sort of material integrity to it. It talks. It's got the flapping jaw. I was very happy with it. It was a good purchase. Can I soapbox? This is almost a merchandise spotlight. You picked this as the last question.
Oh, God.
There is a line of toys that came out this year that I think is the greatest line of toys ever, and it seems to have been abandoned. I thought it was going to be complete, and they seem to have strangled it to death in the crib, still in its infancy, okay?
Uh-huh.
For the new Fast and Furious movie, Fate of the Furious, they released a line of toys called the Fast and Furious Stunt Stars that are cars that come with like inch-tall little figures of the human characters from the Fast and Furious, and they have magnets in their feet so you can put them on top of the cars and roll the cars along, and it's like they're hanging out on the top of the car. But the thing that makes it the fucking best is if you push the tailpipe, the hood of the car flips up, so it's like Vin Diesel's jumping off the top of a car.
Sure.
It's the best, and I was like, they're going to make the whole fucking cast, and they seemingly have stopped. We got Dominic Toretto. We got Tej. We got Agent Hobbs.
Right?
We have Luke. I'm sorry, Owen Shaw, who's the Luke Evans one in his weird little flip car.
Uh-huh.
And then the last one they made, fucking Jaman Hunsu from Furious 7.
Sure.
We didn't get Letty.
All right. That's enough of that.
Yeah.
We didn't get Roman.
I said that's enough of that.
Mia.
Okay, really
Declan
quick.
Shaw.
Someone asked me about my fashion faves,
Yeah.
favorite costumes and stuff. We don't have time to get through like my top 3, so I'm just gonna say Mad Max Fury Road is the fucking best for costumes.
It's the best costume.
Crazy good. I don't like the Milk Boys, but I like the Fuzzy Lint gang. They're cool with the dreads. Tom Hardy has a classic motorcycle jacket. It's all dusty and shit. He's got like some fucking leg fucking straps and shit.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Charlize, also straps, goggles, and then the head painted kind of black. It's really fucking cool. Love that movie.
Ben's reading off of notes right now.
No, he might be actually. All right, can we wrap this up? I swear to God.
Wrap it up. You sound like whoever costume Charlize Theron.
Exactly.
He's got the raps.
Oh, well.
Oh, we should mention the hotline.
Yeah, well, I guess we have to add another thing to the garbage plate.
Right.
Last thing. So we've now
So
set
we
up.
did, right. We did all our garbage plate rankings. That was the beans. Avatarland, I guess that was the meat.
Yeah.
I don't fuck, the potatoes were
Man in
what
Black
we just did.
2,
Yeah, whatever. I don't know.
Pre-recorded audio.
Yeah, anyway,
whatever. It's a great episode.
The final thing. It's a
Top
great
of
episode.
Podmas.
It's
right to the top of Podmas.
Uh-huh.
Come on, guys. It's the end of the year. Like, we're
tired.
And we've also recorded so many episodes canned up months in advance. We were like, let's record one that comes out like fucking 4 days before we release it. Let's do one that's relevant, that's fresh.
It's so true.
Fresh ep. But we have now set up a
Obviously,
hotline.
our Star Wars is also going to be very fresh.
Very fresh.
Yeah.
But we're going to have a lot to talk about there.
Yep.
I
hope. What if it's just shitty?
I knew hope. That would suck if it's just like, I don't know, it kind of sucks. We have not had a burger report in a long time. For people who started listening this year, you might not even know what a burger report is, which is when Ben, David, or I would report on a time we'd seen a famous person, eating any type of burger at any point in time. But wait, I'm out of stories. Ben, are you out of stories?
I've told all my best stories.
Yeah, I think the last one I told was the...
Wait, but how could there be a burger report? Because we set up a hotline. What's that number, Ben?
That number is... Can you look? I don't remember.
We set up a number, and you can call it...
What a fucking idiot.
I'm an idiot.
Yeah.
I'm supposed to memorize the burger number?
Yeah.
Get out of here.
8028 burger.
8028 burger.
Look at me blowing out the mic.
Baby, you call that number, you leave a voicemail, you tell us about any time you have ever seen any famo eat a burger. Evergreen, no statute of limitations. What if I saw them eat a salad? Get the fuck out of here. What if I want to leave a message about something else? It will be deleted promptly. This phone line is for one thing.
Bagel reports? No.
Well, that's the Bagel Chronicle, and that's a separate phone line. There's a beeper you can call if you got a Bagel Chronicle story for us.
All right, so here, people have been calling in, and you can call in anytime and report about burger reports only.
Only.
8028-burger. And we're going to play a burger report.
And this
from
is
one of our old good friends.
Our Blankarican, I Laugh Alone, who we've invoked before, who had a question on this episode, a great supporter of the podcast. Hope you're doing well, and thank you so much for sharing this burger report with us. Hello, everybody. This is Griffin Neiman. Thank you for calling the Burger Report hotline. Please leave a message with your famo, type of burger, and location, and we will try to put it on the podcast if we can.
Yeah, I have a burger report out here from Puerto Rico, and the maybe I left alone about 8 years ago. My best friend's uncle is famous character actor Luis Guzman. So he went to a basketball game that me and my best friend played, and after the game, I was at a Burger King, and he came to the Burger King, and I saw him eating a Whopper. So that's my burger report. I saw Luis Guzman, star of movies such as Boogie Nights and Traffic, eating a Whopper at Burger King. Thanks for all the laughs.
We love you, man. That was the best.
Let me say, that's a perfect burger report. If you want a template for what kind of voicemail to leave, good specifics,
right.
Good context. I love they told us it was a Whopper. The more you remember about the burger, the better.
I was going to say, because the Whopper is maybe the best fast food burger. I mean, you got Wendy's. They make a good fast food burger. And now you've got like your Shake Shack and your Five Guys.
But
I'm talking about
the context, the friend's chains. Uncle, it was in Puerto Rico. You remember the burger, and it was nice and concise.
And also, shouted out his best performance in Traffic.
Yes.
Do you think that's his best? I think that might be his best performance. I mean, he's such a pro. He's given so many amazing performances.
Waiting.
Do you know what he's weirdly great in?
What?
School for Scoundrels.
I've never seen that movie.
He's really good in it.
When's he best?
Is that the one I'm thinking of? Yeah, I think it's that one. Anyway, great burger report. Thank you so much for that. Hope you're doing well. And please call that number.
He is in it.
And as always, remember to rate, review, subscribe. Thanks to Joe Bone and Pat Rounds for artwork, Lane Montgomery for our theme song, and for Guido for our social media. Go to blankies.reddit.com for some real nerdy shit.
No.
Next week, it's here. It's that yearly tradition.
Yeah.
It's that time.
I can't believe it's here.
I hear those sleigh bells jingling, ring, ring, tingling too. Gonna see the Last Jedi with Ben and David and you.
I'm seeing it 3 times in a week, baby.
He's already got 3 screenings booked up in 1 week. And get ready for the merchandise spotlight on that one.
The porgs.
I don't want to tell you what it's going
to
be.
Baby porg.
I don't want to tell you what it's going to be.
Hey, on the record, I think that big dude,
Snoke,
it's not going to be big. He's actually be really small.
The
projection.
The rumor I've heard is that he's big but not huge.
Fuck that.
That he's like 8'5".
Snook. All right.
He's like big, but he's not like gigantic.
We're done.
Yes.
We've gone for 2 hours at least on this fucking thing.
And as always,
we haven't even inserted your friends. How long's that audio?
Da-na-na. It's 5 minutes. I kept it tight.
Okay, good.
And as always, pow, I shit my pants.
Okay, great.
It's because of the mug.